Dragons were naturally irritable creatures. Dragons were naturally irritable creatures. The recovery of the ancient dragon body also caused a change in Long Fei's personality, and he became even more manic. However, Long Fei did not forget his heart. He was him, the otaku from Earth. Small. But not as a substitute for anyone. Long Baishan's reincarnated body? It doesn't exist. Calming down, the sky that was filled with cracks slowly recovered. The unsettled universal realm also slowly calmed down. It was as if they had experienced the end of the world several times today. He would never want to experience that feeling again in his life. Long Fei landed on the ground and immediately asked, "The ancient passage is closed. Is there any way to enter the ancient world?" The elder swordsman said, "The outer world's ancient passage has always been grasped in the hands of the Emperor Xian. Unless the Emperor Xian opens, no one can enter." Senior Mie said, "This is the cleverness of the Emperor Xian. All these years he had been controlling the tunnels, and had kept the ancient world in his back garden. Now that the shrine has been destroyed, he immediately closed the passageways, preventing more people from entering the ancient world." Long Fei said, "Is there no other way?" Murong Xiong said, "Even though you are currently recovering your ancient dragon body, your strength is still at the young dragon stage. If you continue to cultivate for a bit longer, it won't be too late for you to become even stronger and enter." He had a way to enter the ancient world. However, he did not want Long Fei to enter like this. Although Long Fei had become stronger, the Emperor Xian had only sent out a shadow, and the real face was more than 10,000 times stronger than the shadow. If Long Fei were to enter the ancient world like this, he would definitely suffer a loss. If he could train a bit more and become stronger, wouldn't he have an even greater chance of winning? Long Fei replied, "Uncle, I have no time. My father was captured by the Emperor Xian. Long Zhanting was captured." Murong Xiong's gaze immediately tightened. This grandson Emperor Xian sure is fast enough. Long Zhanting has been captured. I think the dragon clan's blood is flowing like rivers now. He must be after you to capture your father. Since you were captured and not killed, it means that your father will not be in danger for the time being, and you will also be in a hurry. Murong Xiong analyzed. Elder Swordsman also said, "Emperor Xian's personality is either not doing it or not doing it at all. He definitely captured your father to deal with you. Long Fei, you aren't in a hurry to enter the ancient world right now, but you should hurry and cultivate using the power of your ancient dragon body. Only then can you enter the ancient world to crush Emperor Xian." No one wanted Long Fei to enter ancient world like this. Ancient world, a huge motherland. It is vast. Similarly, danger lurked in every corner. She was a female original world, and there were too many unstable factors in this plane. Even though she could continuously reproduce her strength, she was the most unstable existence in these planes. The danger inside was unfathomable. Long Fei was very strong now, but in ancient world, his cultivation was nothing. Moreover, he was strong in ancient dragon body. Just flesh. Queen of Blood Moon also advised, "Hubby, don't worry, your father-in-law will definitely be fine." Young Taoist also said, "Since the people from Dark World are all in Ancient World, this means that Ancient World is not simple. Senior brother, why don't you cultivate a bit more before entering?" Kwong Wang also said, "That's right." They were all advising Long Fei to enter the Ancient World later. However, Long Fei was determined, and said, "I know that my current cultivation is nothing in Ancient World, but Universal Realm is no longer of any help to me. I know that the Emperor Xian is very strong, much stronger than I am now. I also know that my father will not be in any danger for the near future since he has been captured. I know all of this. However, if I want to become stronger, I must enter the Ancient World. Only the Ancient World can make me stronger, and only then can I truly cultivate out the power of the ancient dragon body." The Universal Realm was no longer suitable for Long Fei. He needed an even more powerful training ground. Moreover, his cultivation method was completely different from others. He leveled up by killing. Everyone fell silent. Murong Xiong looked at Long Fei and said, "Have you considered this clearly? The ancient world is even more terrifying than you think." Long Fei nodded and said, "I've thought it through clearly. I want to enter the ancient world. Murongxiong didn't waste any more time speaking, and said, all right, when I came to Universal Realm, your grandfather once gave me a treasure, which is also the highest profound meaning of the magic space spell. Positioning space-time. Murongxiong took out something that looked like a compass. There was a needle standing upright on top. The pointer pointed to the sky and flickered slightly. There was a special type of spatial energy in the surroundings. Murongxiong gently let go of the compass and it sunk. He then floated in the air and said, this was used by Father when he told me to escape. The power of location is to link to the ancient world. But the coordinates to enter the ancient world is uncertain, but no one knows where it will travel to. It could be the primal chaos grounds, it could also be a forbidden area, and it could even be the Heaven's Volition City. This place is the Emperor Xian's lair in the ancient world. Nothing is certain. Long Fei, have you decided? Queen of Blood Moon immediately grabbed Long Fei's arm and shook his head lightly. She didn't want Long Fei to take the risk. Lan Mai also gently shook his head and said, don't go, ancient world was too dangerous. Young Taoist and Kwong Wang looked at Long Fei, and their eyes indicated for him not to go. Long Fei said, I've decided, I'll go. He looked at the Queen of Blood Moon, at Lan Mai and the others, and at his brothers Xiao Bai and Long Fei was very clear that he had to enter the ancient world. Only by killing the Emperor Xian and becoming the emperor of this world would this place be safe, and these people would be safe. He had to enter the ancient world. Long Fei did not say anything. She only said lightly, wait for me here. I will definitely come back. While they were talking, Long Fei asked, what should I do? Murongxiong moved the space between his brows, and a stream of spatial energy poured into the compass, which suddenly glowed with a ray of light. The gates of space and time. Murongxiong said, only one person can enter this location. Just walk in. Long Fei took a step forward, standing in front of the gate of time and space, and didn't look back. Murongxiong said, kid, entering the ancient world is all dependent on you. If you enter the God-living mountain, you must go see your grandfather. Your grandfather might know something about your mother. Long Fei nodded his head, I will remember. Finished. Stepping into the space and time gate, his body trembled slightly. The power of space and time completely wrapped around him. This feeling was a bit ethereal, as if his body had become lighter. White light enveloped him. Long Fei looked at the scene before him as it constantly changed. Long Fei clenched both his fists tightly, and said with a heavy tone, Ancient world, your father is here. Ancient world, matriarchal original world. Ancient world, matriarchal original world. Over the course of countless years, she had created one small plane of time after another. It was like she was the center of a galaxy. It's also the source of power for this galaxy. The mother world could also be called original world, and there weren't many original world like him in the entire universe. This was also the reason why the original world obtained so much importance first. Once the original world multiplied, it would definitely cause competition from other planes for it, robbing and even destroying it. The powerhouse that was born in the original world would affect the level of this world. The level increase of a plane does not depend on the plane itself, but on the powerhouse of a plane. These powerhouse, after absorbing the power of the original world, are constantly breaking through their limits and continuously flying up, becoming stronger. As long as they reach a certain level of strength, the plane's level will also rise. This was a type of universe law. No one was born in a powerhouse, and it was the same for planes. The immortal world, the dark world, the great young world. All sorts of supreme planes had their levels rise because they had experienced countless transformations in the powerhouse. Only then would it become the higher planes. There was only one way to make his plane grow stronger, and that was to make himself stronger and break out of that prison. This way, the plane would rise as well. The reason why the higher planes were known as the higher planes was because there were simply too many powerhouses within them. The plane of existence was like a man, and the powerhouse was the king. The weak are always faced with the fate of destruction. The laws of the earth. Buzz. Space split as Long Fei took a step forward. Bam! He stomped heavily on the ground. In a lush forest. Long Fei looked around to make sure there was no danger before he lightly breathed in the air of the ancient world and felt his presence. Nothing special. Be it the aura of power or the spirit energy of heaven and earth, there was nothing special about it. However, the moment Long Fei's feet touched the ground, the power of spatial and temporal positioning disappeared. Boom. Long Fei's body suddenly sank. He looked like he was about to kneel on the ground, and his body became tens of thousands of times heavier. It was normal for him to withstand a powerful pressure. Hoo. Long Fei's breathing hastened a bit. Without using the power of the ancient dragon body, his body was almost unable to withstand this kind of pressure. The gravity in this plane is completely different. The gravity here is more than 1,000 times stronger than in universal realm. F***ck. Is this the ancient world? Long Fei heavily stepped forward. This step. He felt as if he was dragging a piece of iron that weighed 10 million jin. It was too heavy. This speed. It was like an ant crawling. Hoo. Just by moving his leg a little, Long Fei felt that it was about to break. Damn, isn't this way too strong? He did not fly into the ancient world. With his cultivation level, he simply could not reach the qualifications to enter the ancient world. Long Fei had forcefully entered the ancient world through location in time and space. It was also because of this that it was much more difficult for him to do so in the ancient world than it was for people who had flown into the ancient world. Every step was difficult. However, the more difficult it was, the more useful it was for Long Fei's training. Huff. Long Fei breathed heavily a few times, and said, I need to get used to the ancient world's gravity as soon as possible. I need to get my body accustomed to it as soon as possible. Only by getting used to the pressure and gravity of the ancient world would Long Fei look like a normal person. No one would be able to tell at a glance that he was an outsider. And the only way for him to become strong quickly was to have the qualifications to face off against the Emperor Xian head-on. There was only one way to get used to the laws of the ancient world: train to death. To be refined to the death. The power of the ancient dragon body was able to compete with the power of the ancient world's ancient code. However, the ancient dragon body was only one of Long Fei's powers. It was also the only trump card he had in the ancient world. It was not a shortcut for Long Fei to quickly fuse with the ancient world. He had to rely on his own strength to become stronger, and only by becoming stronger would his own ancient dragon body become stronger. Let's start with walking. Long Fei looked at his feet. Although he was standing, it was extremely strenuous, more strenuous than a child learning how to walk. Bam! He gathered up all his strength and took a heavy step forward. Very difficult. It was painful. To go from one plane to another, even entering the Hall of Eternal Life from another, Long Fei had never experienced pain. It was painful, but extremely fulfilling. Again, boom. He took another step forward. Boom. With every step, Long Fei's body trembled, and he could collapse at any moment, but he persisted on. If you can't even walk steadily, how can you kill Emperor Xian? How can I save my father? Long Fei, oh Long Fei, you have to hold on. Boom. Long Fei walked forward step by step, swaying and stumbling. He fell to the ground a few times, but he still stood up instantly without any rest. He was sweating profusely and had no time to wipe it off. There was no time for pain. Long Fei's entire body was being constantly suppressed by the pressure of the ancient world. To him, all of his speed and strength were being suppressed. It was like training in a massive gravitational space. 1 minute, 2 minutes. 1 hour. 1 day. 3 days. After a full 3 days, he finally learned how to walk steadily on the road. He would not stumble or fall to the ground. It was as if Long Fei had spent 3 years in these 3 days. Huff. Looking at his own feet, which were swollen like 2 pig thighs, Long Fei felt his heart ache. He muttered, I only learned to walk in 3 days, how long does it take to run? You can only fly. The ancient world is incomparably huge. If you can't fly, then when will you be able to find the Emperor Xian and go there? I have to increase my speed. Long Fei clenched his fists. At this time, The sound of a sword could be heard from the forest not far away. A gentle and melodious voice rang out, "Heavenly maiden dispersing flower, buzz buzz buzz." The rain of swords was like a flower, but in that instant, the rain of swords disappeared. Again, "Heavenly maiden dispersing flower. Why is it still not working? I don't believe it. Heavenly maiden dispersal." He was unable to unleash the power of this sword move even after repeating it several times. Could it be that I didn't fly high enough? No way. There are only 3 days until the day of the family competition. I must learn this move, otherwise, my father will gift me to the Gui's family. I don't want it. I hate Gui Taibao. Ah! The girl let out a furious roar and flew up into the sky. She then flew out of the forest with her sword out of nowhere, letting out a humming sound. And then, he pointed at the sword and charged toward one direction. He shouted, "Tian Yu." It was also at this time she suddenly realized that there was someone at the front. Immediately, she panicked. Quick, quick, dodge. Long Fei also did not expect that a lady would suddenly descend from the sky, and she was even holding onto a sword. Damn, what's going on? Hey, hey, hey. That person, you, quickly run away. Hey, hey, hey. That person, you, quickly run away. The young girl was completely flustered. He couldn't control his own speed. Long Fei was also shocked. Without thinking too much, he relied on the 3 days of walking to hide on the other side. However, he turned around and saw that the girl in white was still rushing towards him. Long Fei was a little depressed. Without waiting for him to finish speaking, the girl said angrily, "You are such a person, can you move away from me?" Long Fei. "All right, I'll just hide away." Long Fei moved a few more steps, and thought to himself, "This should be far, the direction is completely off." However, he turned around and looked. The sword was almost at the back of his head. Holy *T. Long Fei cursed. The girl was also incomparably embarrassed as she said, I can't control my direction. You better hurry up and avoid it." Long Fei said, "You have been constantly locking onto me, can I dodge?" Long Fei's mind moved. He wanted to release the body of the ancient dragon body. However, then, he recalled that the ancient dragon body was the only thing he could rely on in the ancient world and he could not easily expose it. "It's time to demonstrate my true skills." Long Fei smiled slightly. This daddy here is so coquettish in the game. That's a coquettish comparison. Positioning was extremely important in the game. Long Fei had always been immersed in the game during his years as a otaku on Earth. It couldn't be used on Earth. However, it was different in this world. Long Fei's aura slightly moved, and using all his strength, he said, "Look at my walk like a snake." He took a step forward. And although he wasn't fast, his body moved slightly to the side, dodging the sword chi released by the girl. His body twisted. He returned to his original spot and moved again. Boom. He dodged another sword aura. Boom. Boom. When the sword chi that filled the sky was released, the young lady could not control it, and her little heart seemed to want to jump out. Seeing Long Fei jumping left and right, looking very miserable, she became more worried, and the more worried she became, the more she panicked. It doesn't matter if you panic. The most important thing was, this time, she was able to unleash the flower that she had always been unable to release, and it was also very powerful. If this sword flower landed on Long Fei's body, even if it didn't die, it would at least take half a life, right? When the girl thought of this, she nearly cried from anxiety. Quickly dodge. Long Fei scolded. "Are you blind? Didn't you see that your father has been hiding all this time? If it wasn't for my walk like a snake, I would have already died under your sword." Long Fei was furious, but despite his anger, he kept on twisting his butt. Using his only speed, he ingeniously avoided the sword flowers of the young girl. The things from the previous timeline are finally going to be of some use. Long Fei rejoiced secretly. However, his physical strength was unable to keep up. The ancient world's gravity was too strong, so with this set of sharp footsteps, Long Fei's movements obviously slowed down. He had only learned how to walk for 3 days without even learning how to run. Under such a sky full of sword rain, he was at his limit. Plus, his speed was very slow. The girl's sword was right above his head, shooting out like a 98k, afraid that he would not die. No way. If this goes on, even if we don't die, we'll be exhausted. Long Fei was very clear about his current situation. The young lady was like his enemy, chasing and beating him up. If not for the panic on her face, Long Fei would have thought that she was someone Emperor Xian had sent to kill him. Who? Long Fei suddenly stopped. The young girl panicked. Because she was flying very low, very close to the ground. If Long Fei stopped, he would definitely be injured by the sword. Get out of the way, quickly get out of the way. Let your sister go. This daddy here is being chased by you even after hiding so far away. The walk like a snake is still being chased by you. If you move aside, this daddy here won't be a man anymore. Long Fei shouted, and his body sank. Not caring about the taboo between males and females, he hugged the young girl. The girl was stunned. She did not expect Long Fei to suddenly hug her, causing her to lose her center of gravity, and her entire person to be hugged by Long Fei. However, the impact still remained, but in the instant Long Fei hugged them, the two of them immediately started rolling on the ground. Bang, bang, bang. The floor rolled a few dozen times. The girl felt dizzy and her eyeballs were rolling. She couldn't tell which direction was the right one. She randomly grabbed for a bit and her body sank again. She then rushed forward again. Lips pressed against a soft spot. He lightly inhaled and felt something was wrong. She opened her eyes and found herself kissing a man on the mouth. The man in front of her was also glaring at her angrily. In an instant, the young girl didn't care about her dizziness as she suddenly sat up and slapped him. Stinking hooligan. However, when the girl kissed Long Fei's lips, he was already prepared. He raised his hand high up to block her slap, and asked, "Who's the hooligan? Why didn't you say that you were a hooligan when you were living in person? Look who you're sitting on. Look at your own seat, you rogue." Long Fei said fiercely. The young girl sat on the ground below Long Fei's abdomen. Her cheeks flushed. The girl instantly stood up and glared fiercely at Long Fei. Because she had fainted, she was unable to stand properly and was about to fall. Long Fei's hands were quick. He pulled at the girl's clothes. Kai La. A large piece of the dress on her thigh was torn apart, revealing more than half of her fair and flawless long legs. Just her large white legs were enough to make anyone unable to control them. Long Fei was a normal man. When he saw some exciting scenes, he would react. However, he only swallowed a little. However, this action of hers had already been judged by the girl to be a hooligan filled with evil thoughts. She angrily shouted, "Let go of your dirty hands." Long Fei said lightly, "Are you sure?" The girl did not want to stay for even a second longer and said, "Let go." Long Fei lightly put it down. The young girl lost her center of gravity and fell down like a dog eating shit. It doesn't matter. What mattered was that she had fallen into a puddle of dirty water. After taking a large gulp of yellow mud, her white dress became instantly drenched. She didn't wear much anyway, so it was fine if her white dress wasn't wet. But now that she was wet, his body was completely exposed. Exquisite curve, convex and convex. Exquisite. The young lady crawled out of the pool of water, looked at Long Fei's innocent appearance, and felt as if smoke was coming out of her head. Long Fei shrugged. "You asked me to let go of him, ah." As he spoke, his naked eyes wandered over the girl, as if he was admiring some art piece. The young lady became angry and directly picked up the sword on the ground and pointed it at Long Fei's eyes. "Have you seen enough, you old rogue?" "Tch." Long Fei disdained, and said, "It's so small, I don't really want to see it. Nothing else matters." However, the word small fiercely provoked the young girl, causing her eyes to appear as if she was about to burst with killing intent. No woman can accept the fact of being small. No woman can accept the fact of being small. Moreover, the chest of this young girl before her was actually not small. In her heart, This was the chest that she was the most satisfied with because it was so big. Yet now, he was actually called small by someone. There was a kind of anger that one could kill but not humiliate. Pointing the sword tip, he pointed at Long Fei's forehead and angrily bellowed, "Say that again." As she spoke, she straightened her body, making it stand out even more clearly. She thought to herself, "Are you blind?" Of course. Compared to the small steamed bun in Wangzi, the small steamed bun was obviously smaller. All the women that Long Fei had met were older than her. Be it Queen of Blood Moon, or Lan Mai, even Su Su was older than the girl in front of him, so Long Fei naturally thought that she was young. This was also related to the age of the young girl. At most, she would only be able to reach this level in 20 or 8 years. Looking at the blade in front of her, then glancing at the young girl who stood up straight, Long Fei purposely said to anger her, "Let me see the airport." The girl didn't know what an airport was and asked, "What is an airport? Is it big?" "Airfield. That must be big, how else can we stop the plane?" Long Fei said with a serious face. The girl's face turned slightly better as a trace of a smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. She whispered, "That's more like it. However, just now, why didn't you run away when I told you to? Furthermore, you even kissed me. Do you know who I am?" When the young girl thought of the scene just now, her cheeks blushed. That feeling was very short, but it gave her a strange feeling. It was a feeling he had never experienced before. Year 28, the season of spring. The yearning for love, the fantasy of forbidden fruit. At her age, she was eager to try and touch it, but she was also a bit afraid. Long Fei saw the redness on her face and chuckled in his heart. "I'll flirt with her first." He was now entirely an old driver. Especially when he met this sort of novice, he was an old driver that could move swiftly and gracefully. Long Fei said, "Do you know why I'm here? Do you know why I was always hiding from you?" The girl shook her head, "I don't know." "Why?" Long Fei said, "Because this is fate. You and I are fated to meet. I am fated to be unable to escape your pursuit, and you are also fated to fall into my arms and be kissed. This is fate, the fate agreed upon in our previous lives." Long Fei spoke very seriously. The young girl was also listening very seriously. Moreover, her face was full of seriousness and she seemed to completely believe Long Fei's words, and she muttered, "Is it really like that? Destined? No wonder I couldn't control my sword intent. Could it really be what he said? Too cute." He immediately believed it. Long Fei could not control himself and almost laughed out loud. "You can even believe this?" Long Fei slowly got up from the ground and asked, "Why are you here?" The girl said, "I train here every day." Long Fei walked to the side of the girl and said, "That's right, you are training here every day, so why would I appear here again? I was not there when you were practicing your sword, so why did you lose control over your sword moves when I was around?" As he slowly spoke, Long Fei gently held onto the girl's small waist. That feeling. The young girl's skin was truly good. Long Fei could not help but sigh in his heart. The girl said, "Is it fate again?" Long Fei said, "That's right, isn't this fate?" When Long Fei was about to block the girl from entering his embrace, the girl's eyes suddenly trembled, and she immediately broke free from Long Fei's arm and jumped 3 meters away. The tip of the sword moved again, and pointed at the center of Long Fei's brows, saying, "I don't believe that fate has decreed it. My mother had told me before, that the more sweet talk you have, the more one will not believe you, and the more one will not be able to believe. What I told you about fate and fate, the more untrustworthy a man is. You are just an old rogue." The young girl seemed to wake up instantly, and at that moment, the sword pointed at the center of Long Fei's brows. The sword hummed softly. Seeing that, Long Fei's footsteps moved slightly. Another walk like a snake dodged his sword and said, "Sister, this fate was arranged by the heavens. Otherwise, why would you have kissed me just now?" When the young girl heard him, she angrily said, "It's not me kissing you, it's you, old rogue, kissing me." No. Nothing just happened." Long Fei acted as if he was very disappointed. "Why didn't anything happen?" "That was my first kiss." The young girl said angrily, "That was also my first kiss." No, no, no. Her mind kept deleting the scene from earlier, but the more he wanted to delete the kiss on Long Fei's mouth, the more profound the image became, as if it was being slowly played. In her heart, she was even more infuriated. He could not be bothered with that. His sword stabbed forward, saying, "Nothing happened. Nothing happened." The young girl puffed up with anger. However, her sword moves were not disorderly, and continued to pierce towards Long Fei. Long Fei exerted his walk like a snake to the extreme and kept on dodging. Furthermore, he kept saying, "I didn't expect you to be such a person," stole my first kiss, and even said such hurtful words. "Now, you actually want to silence me?" The more people find it hard to believe. The sword technique stopped for a moment. The girl looked at Long Fei and asked, "Are you saying that I am very pretty?" Long Fei. A woman's way of thinking was completely different. He had no idea what her center of gravity was. The young lady reacted again, her sword danced again as she faced Long Fei, her sword movements becoming sharper and sharper. However, Long Fei also unleashed his walk like a snake to its utmost limit as he kept on moving with heavy steps, dodging every single sword move dangerously. The girl could also tell that Long Fei's position was too weird. He had dodged every move. This cultivation base. It was definitely not low. However, the aura on Long Fei's body was very weak, like a newborn baby. It was impossible for such a weak aura to have any cultivation, and even more so impossible to avoid his sword moves. Could it be that he had relied on his posture to dodge the attack? The girl was shocked. Inborn powerhouse? In ancient world, Long Fei was really like a newborn baby, because he used time and space to locate his body and enter the ancient world. In this plane, his body was incomparably weak. If he did not use the ancient dragon body, he would have difficulty walking. No level, no cultivation, and no magical equipment to rely on. He could only rely on his posture to barely dodge the sword moves. The young girl continued to attack. Long Fei continuously dodged. Every single move was extremely dangerous, and he had dodged every single attack. The girl suddenly stopped, looked at Long Fei's moving steps, and asked, "What kind of position is this?" Long Fei immediately exhaled and said, "Walk like a snake." The girl did not hear clearly and said, "What? Walk like snakeskin? Walk like snakeskin? Walk like snakeskin?" Long Fei stared at her, and suddenly cursed, "Snakeskin your sister. I am called the walk like a snake, do you understand?" The girl didn't seem to care at all as she said, "The snake skin and snake form are more or less the same. It's just a type of movement anyway." "What do you mean almost? Can the skin and form of a snake be the same?" Long Fei could not tolerate his walk like a snake being said to be like the skin of a snake. The girl did not want to argue, so she asked, "Can you teach me?" Long Fei said with disdain. The girl said, "I can give you money." Long Fei said, "Do I look like a shallow person to you?" The girl said, "I can give you a lot of money." Long Fei asked, "How much?" The girl raised a finger and said, "So many." Long Fei asked, 100 million? The girl shook her head, "No. Damn, more? Although I am not a shallow person, but people need to spend their money to live, so I won't panic no matter where I go." Long Fei said confidently, "A billion?" The girl still shook her head. "No." Long Fei felt that he guessed too much, and said, 1 million? The girl shook her head. 100,000? No. Long Fei asked, "How much is that?" The girl said, "Just one." Long Fei was immediately angered. "Who do you think I am? $1? $1 and you want to imitate this father's snake skin? No, walk like a snake. Are you dreaming?" Long Fei was very angry. The young lady did not argue, her sword lightly moved. "With a look of this young miss will definitely eat you," she said. "It's true that you're missing one, but what about? I know your cultivation level very well. You can say that you don't have any cultivation level. Just now, I didn't infuse any spiritual energy into my sword technique, so you were able to easily dodge. If I use my spiritual power, you won't be able to dodge it. Do you believe me?" The young lady smiled faintly and waved the sword in her hand lightly. Buzz, buzz, The sword hum was different from before. Indeed. Long Fei had just learned how to walk in ancient world, and didn't have any rank at all. If it was his own strength, he really wouldn't be a match for the girl in front of him. The girl looked at Long Fei and laughed. Don't worry, follow me. I will definitely let you have a good time. If you perform well, I might even be able to introduce you to a few girls. Heh. What was she thinking now? She was temporarily unable to grasp the heavenly maiden scattering flower and would not be able to cultivate it in a short period of time. If she were to make a fool of herself on the stage, not only would she lose face, but she would also bring shame to the family. Rather than that, he might as well take a step back and cultivate Long Fei's walk like a snake. It seemed that it was easier than cultivating Heaven Lady dispersing flower. As long as he succeeded in his cultivation, he would be able to handle this competition. Long Fei didn't know what she was planning. However, for Long Fei, if he wanted to understand the ancient world as soon as possible, he had to remove the people from the ancient world and look through their ancient books. The young lady in front of him had an extraordinary temperament. She was definitely a disciple of one of the large families, so if he followed her, he might be able to understand ancient world even faster. Right now, what Long Fei needed to do was to understand this world and find out the traces of the Emperor Xian. Long Fei muttered, since it's a few girls' clones, I will reluctantly agree. However, let's get to the point, my snake skin. How many levels you can learn of walk like a snake are all up to you. The young girl's heart jumped with joy as she said, don't worry, I am the Lin clan's little genius. At this moment, a few shouts came from the forest not far away. Little sister Shuang'er, eldest miss. Little sister Shuang'er. Hearing that, Lin Shuang'er's eyes immediately turned sinister. Gui Taibao, are you lingering? Humph. As long as I win this match, I won't marry you. Lin Shuang'er roared fiercely. He looked at his own dirty clothes, then turned and stared at Long Fei. Long Fei shrunk, and said, I also only wore one. Lin Shuang'er said, I don't care, take off your clothes. Long Fei said, I won't. Lin Shuang'er said, you can't escape. If you don't take it off, then I'll shout molest. When the time comes, I'll see what you can do. These people won't be as gentle to you as I am. You're calling me molester? You're gentle? Damn, what has this world become? Long Fei was bitter. Lin Shuang'er said, don't worry, since this sister said she will take care of you, she will definitely hug you well. As long as you listen obediently, I will definitely protect you. Give me your clothes. She didn't want Gui Taibao to see her own body that he could faintly see. Long Fei muttered, I wonder who that old rogue is. Without waiting for Long Fei to take off his clothes, Lin Shuang'er grabbed it and draped it over his body. At this time, a somewhat handsome young man walked over. Seeing Long Fei half naked, and also seeing Lin Shuang'er wearing the clothes of a man, moreover, the dress on her thigh was torn, revealing her white legs. Immediately, both of Gui Taibao's eyes were filled with rage as his hand turned into a claw and clawed at Long Fei's throat. He bellowed out, scoundrel, you actually dare to bully my Shuang'er. Die. It was very sharp. Moreover, his eyes was filled with killing intent. His claw had never thought of letting Long Fei live. Long Fei's gaze tightened, and the idea moved slightly. Lin Shuang'er blocked with his sword, and directly blocked in front of Gui Taibao's hand claw, and immediately shouted out, Gui Taibao, what are you planning to do? She couldn't let anything happen to Long Fei. She still wanted to learn walk like snakeskin from Long Fei. Being blocked in one move, Gui Taibao became even angrier. Shuang'er, what are you doing? He deserves to die as a rapist. The killing intent in his eyes grew stronger. Because Lin Shuang'er had actually helped Long Fei, Gui Taibao was extremely furious in his heart. Lin Shuang'er said, did you see that eye of his do something bad to me? I just fell. He just gave me my clothes to keep out the cold. Gui Taibao, do you think that everyone is as dirty as you? Gui Taibao's eyes turned sinister as he stared intently at Long Fei. Long Fei laughed bitterly in his heart. Damn, I got into trouble again. However, he didn't care. He was merely an ancient world ranker. As long as he used the power of the ancient dragon body, crushing 10,000 of them was not a problem. Lin Shuang'er stood in front of Long Fei, looked at the Lin family servants, and reprimanded, "Who told you to bring him here?" The two servants lowered their heads and did not speak. Gui Taibao said, "Little sister Shuang'er, Uncle Lin told me to come here. He said that you are here to practice the sword, and asked me to give you some pointers." Lin Shuang'er said coldly, "There's no need, you can go back." Gui Taibao did not leave. Lin Shuang'er said, "You don't understand human speech? I don't need you to teach me, I've already been taught by someone." Gui Taibao asked, "Who taught you?" Lin Shuang'er glanced at Long Fei, then pointed at the dumbstruck Long Fei, him. Long Fei was startled, "Your sister." Lin Shuang'er didn't think too much about it. She just wanted to find someone at random to make Gui Taibao leave as soon as possible. Lin Shuang'er didn't think too much about it. She just wanted to find someone at random to make Gui Taibao leave as soon as possible. And coincidentally, Long Fei was here. Then, he pushed Long Fei out. Long Fei really wanted to burst out laughing in his heart. What was going on? Gui Taibao looked at Long Fei, and said slightly, "I'm sure this brother's sword technique is very profound, right?" Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, Lin Shuang'er said, "Of course, how could the master I'm looking for not be brilliant? Let me tell you this, at the very least, I'm several floors taller than you." Long Fei. The pain was indescribable. Gui Taibao said, "Since that's the case, then I really need to experience it properly. The Neon Cities competition will begin soon, and if I can get the pointers of a master before the competition, then I can definitely get a higher ranking." While they were talking, Gui Taibao then took out his sword, and politely gestured, "Master, please." It was only then that Lin Shuang'er realized he did the wrong thing. She knew very well that Long Fei did not have any cultivation, and only knew how to move like a snake. He was not a match for Gui Taibao at all. It had to be known that her cultivation was only at swordsman rank, while Gui Taibao's was already at big swordsman, and was several levels higher than her. Once he attacked, Long Fei would definitely lose. Lin Shuang'er frowned and said anxiously, "No, he is my teacher, how can I guide you?" Gui Taibao smiled slightly and said, "Since you're not giving him pointers, then let's spar for a bit, and let me know if he can give you pointers as well." He definitely would not miss this opportunity. Furthermore, looking at Lin Shuang'er's battered and exhausted body and how he was half naked, Gui Taibao had already written Long Fei on the death list in his heart. How dare you snatch a woman from him in the Neon City? Courting death. If Lin Shuang'er was not present, he would have stepped on Long Fei. Lin Shuang'er said, "I say no, then no." Gui Taibao looked at Long Fei and laughed coldly, then said, "Master, please give me some pointers. If it really doesn't work, let's spar a bit." Lin Shuang'er said, "Gui Taibao, what do you mean? What do you mean you can stop right now? Are you saying that the master I found is not as good as you?" Long Fei looked at Lin Shuang'er, and thought to himself, "The ancients are right, a big chest without brains, but your chest isn't big enough, why is it that you still don't have a brain?" Gui Taibao said, "Since you say so, then I can only admit it." Staring at Long Fei, his eyes filled with disdain, he said, "Don't worry, I won't take your life." Lin Shuang'er was furious. If Long Fei had a bit of cultivation, she would have immediately sent Long Fei out to fight, but he was just too strong. Long Fei did not have any cultivation, and would be completely crushed by Gui Taibao if he fought. Then wouldn't she lose all face? She already hated Gui Taibao. If she let him win again, Gui Taibao would be even more domineering in front of her. Lin Shuang'er huffed and puffed. Gui Taibao continuously provoked him, and said, "Master, you wouldn't be afraid, right? You're someone who can guide my sister Shuang'er, so you won't refuse my challenge, right? If you refuse such a small request, are you still a man? Or, you're not a man at all? Or should I say, you are just a piece of trash?" Gui Taibao continued to provoke her. Lin Shuang'er was enraged. "Gui Taibao, don't be too arrogant, you are the trash, you can't be considered a man, this is my Lin family's territory, get lost." Gui Taibao smiled slightly, and said, "Little sister Shuang'er, you must have been deceived by him. In my opinion, he is just a piece of trash." Lin Shuang'er huffed, "Try saying that again." It was also at this time. Long Fei raised his eyes and stared coldly at Gui Taibao. In that instant, Gui Taibao's mind suddenly went cold, and couldn't help but tremble as if he had fallen into an abyss. Long Fei's eyes were too terrifying. It gave him an unprecedented pressure. It was extremely uncomfortable. However, after a few short seconds, Gui Taibao let out a heavy shout. What? You say that you are trash? Accepting my challenge just because you're unconvinced? Lin Shuang'er said, I will fight with you. At this moment, Long Fei said faintly, how can I let a woman fight? The one he wants to challenge is me, then of course I will fight. As they spoke, Long Fei took a step forward. His steps were heavy. He was not used to the ancient world's gravity yet. Lin Shuang'er immediately said worriedly, can you do it? No way. You can't fight. Lin Shuang'er had said that she would protect Long Fei, so she could not go back on her words. Gui Taibao said, Little sister Shuang'er, don't worry, I won't kill him. Trash is not qualified to die by my hands. Lin Shuang'er said fiercely, say that again, trash. Gui Taibao avoided Lin Shuang'er, looked at him and said, are you ready? Trash. He could immediately tell that Long Fei did not have any aura of a warrior on him. Obviously, Long Fei's cultivation was low. Lin Shuang'er was protecting him. The more it was like this, the more Gui Taibao wanted to embarrass Long Fei, and the more he wanted to make him kneel on the ground. Long Fei said lightly, how do you want to play? Gui Taibao said, it's very simple. The loser will kneel down and kowtow to the winner. How about it? Can you afford it? Lin Shuang'er immediately shook his head, don't promise him. She was extremely anxious in her heart, because she knew that Long Fei was no match for Gui Taibao. His inherent skill is one of the best in the Neon City. This was also the reason why her father allowed her to marry Gui Taibao. Long Fei looked to be about the same age as Gui Taibao, and since he did not have any cultivation, how could he possibly be a match for him? Long Fei shrugged, no problem. However, I'll add another one. If you can touch my clothes, then it's my loss. As soon as he finished, Lin Shuang'er was instantly shocked, her mouth agape as she looked at Long Fei with a stupefied face, her heart going crazy. Are you crazy? Will you die if you don't act cool? Gui Taibao is at the big swordsman realm, how can he not touch your clothes? Who do you think you are? Is he really a master? She could only pretend that she did not know Long Fei. She should not have involved Long Fei. If there was still a chance for 0.001 just now, then now. There was no hope at all. Long Fei was too arrogant. Savage and unruly. He had no cultivation at all, yet the other party could not even touch his sleeves. He was not giving any face at all. Gui Taibao laughed coldly, there was no change on the surface, but he was furious inside, his eyes darkened slightly as he said, trying to act cool in front of me? All right, then let's see how you die. Suddenly, Gui Taibao's sword suddenly moved, fierce tiger returning to forest. Roar. A roar of a tiger exploded out, the sound of the sword exploding sounded out, the power of the sword pushed out straight towards Long Fei's throat. Lin Shuang'er's heart sank, using such a powerful sword move right from the start, you're done for. If he was finished, he would lose without a doubt. If he was finished, he would lose without a doubt. And he would be defeated in one move. Fierce tiger returning forest was a type of overbearing sword art. With a single sword strike, the fierce tiger's roar could be heard as it broke through the mountain forest. This was also the famous sword technique in Gui's family. Gui Taibao used such a sharp sword technique from the very beginning, he only wanted to make Long Fei kneel on the ground. Lin Shuang'er was incomparably anxious. He felt like he was about to lose face. Gui Taibao was the same, he laughed coldly in his heart, you dare be arrogant in front of me? Let's see how you are going to act so arrogantly now. Kneel. Fierce Tiger Return's move was aimed directly at his throat. Only by kneeling on the ground could he dodge this move. If he didn't want to die, he could only kneel down. Gui Taibao intentionally toyed with Long Fei. He wanted to make Long Fei embarrassed in front of Lin Shuang'er, and also make Lin Shuang'er embarrassed in front of him. This girl was very arrogant. She didn't want to kill her. Did she really think that her fiancé was useless? Gui Taibao was secretly pleased in his heart, because in his mind, Long Fei was already kneeling down in front of him, kowtowing and begging for mercy. A proud smile appeared on his face. But, just as the sword was about to stab Long Fei's throat, Long Fei's footsteps slightly moved, and his body became extremely light and graceful. He slid and moved. His body seemed to have teleported and landed on the other side. Shua. The sword pierced through empty air. Gui Taibao was completely dumbfounded. Lin Shuang'er, who was at the side, was dumbstruck, seeing Long Fei's sudden change in position. He was unable to react for a long while. This. What position is this? Walk like snakeskin? Lin Shuang'er was inexplicably excited. He couldn't stop it at all. Gui Taibao's expression was displeased as he turned around and soared into the sky. With another heavy sound, he shouted, "Tiger breaks the mountains." Roar. The fierce tiger roared, and the pressure from it increased. The sword images were like the wind, blocking all of Long Fei's escape routes. Gui Taibao shouted angrily, "Let's see where you can dodge this time." Lin Shuang'er tensed up again, clenching his fists tightly. He thought to himself, "Be careful, do your best, do your best." The sword shadow descended. There were no gaps within a 10-meter radius. The sword shadows were so fast that it was impossible to dodge. It was just that. Long Fei's footsteps slightly moved. It seemed very slow, but there were shadows overlapping with each other on his body. Fantasy speed. Long Fei did not jump out of the range of the sword projection. Rather, his figure was like a piece of paper, continuously twisting around. His position could only be described with one word. How coquettish. Her body twisted in a charming manner. It jumped about amidst the sword shadows. Not a single strike had injured him, let alone touched the corner of his clothes. Ha ha ha. The walk like snakeskin is too powerful. Ha ha. Lin Shuang'er was extremely excited. Gui Taibao, aren't you arrogant? Your move can't even touch the corner of his clothes. Ha ha ha. Who's the trash now? Lin Shuang'er was extremely happy. It was the first time in many years that she had laughed so happily. Dodged all of the tiger-splitting mountain range's moves. His expression was exceptionally ugly as he grinded his teeth so hard that they crackled loudly. He was infuriated. Ah! Gui Taibao shouted in fury, "I will kill you." Boom! The aura on his body suddenly exploded, and the sword shadows became illusory. Lin Shuang'er frowned, then said, "Tiger might sword formation. You have to be careful. This is no trivial move. This was one of the strongest sword techniques in the Gui's family. This kind of sword technique was like a sword formation. Once it was used, it was extremely sharp, an existence that could not be killed nor returned. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A buzzing sound was released from Gui Taibao's body, followed by a series of sword hums that shot out and landed around Long Fei's body. Lin Shuang'er asked, "I actually succeeded." Gui Taibao groaned, the clothes on his body began to flutter, and the spirit energy on his body was being consumed crazily, the sword formation and the spirit energy it was consuming. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to take it. The sword formation activated around Long Fei. Gui Taibao's hand formed a seal. He roared, "Kill." 7 sword formation shadows pierced towards Long Fei. Long Fei looked left and right, without any blind spots. However, the corner of his mouth curled up slightly as he smiled faintly. This kind of sword formation? Too weak. Buzz. He moved his feet and illusions appeared everywhere. He still did not retaliate, using his positioning instead. That was how confident he was. It was just that coquettish. With a single step, he completely avoided all of the sword formations and sword moves. Moreover, the surrounding people could not even understand what Long Fei had done, and simply did not know how he did it. Lin Shuang'er was immediately excited, and directly jumped up on the spot. Ha ha ha. Powerful, powerful, truly powerful. Gui Taibao, you are arrogant. Who's the trash? Ha ha ha. You can't even touch the hem of my master's clothes, are you? He's the #1 genius of Neon City, he can't even compare to one of my master's fingers. Lin Shuang'er continuously mocked. She would never miss such an opportunity. It had to be known that his Gui's family had always been the one mocking her Lin family. Now that there was a chance, why couldn't he just take it back? Being mocked by Lin Shuang'er like this, coupled with the fact that controlling sword formations consumed a large amount of spirit energy and mental energy, the tension on his nerves loosened up when he heard Lin Shuang'er's mockery. Bam! Phut! He spat out a mouthful of blood. The sword formation shattered. Gui Taibao also retreated quickly, his face becoming pale in an instant. Both of his eyes stared at Long Fei, and asked solemnly, "Who exactly are you?" Lin Shuang'er leaped to Long Fei's side and asked, "My master, what's wrong?" When she spoke, she even grabbed onto Long Fei's arm. Her actions were so intimate, as if she was afraid that Long Fei would run away. Gui Taibao was even more unhappy. However, the sword formation from before was too much, and the spirit energy in his pubes had already been used up. If they stayed here, they wouldn't benefit. He stared at Long Fei and said fiercely, "I'll remember you. Wait and see." Then, Gui Taibao glanced at Lin Shuang'er, and said in his heart, "Bitch, how will I torture you when I get you?" Humph. He flicked his sleeves and was about to leave. At this moment, Long Fei suddenly asked, "Did I let you go?" His voice was ice-cold. It was as if it had come from the depths of hell, and had directly exploded in his mind. In practically an instant, Gui Taibao felt like he had been nailed to the ground. Lin Shuang'er also shouted, "That's right, did I let you go?" Gui Taibao turned around and asked Long Fei, "What do you want?" Long Fei said, "If you lose, then follow the rules of the bet." Gui Taibao's eyes were filled with anger, and he shouted, "You think you can make me kneel to you? In this neon city, even the mayor wouldn't dare to make me kneel. Who do you think you are? Do you think you can be any good with just a few steps? A useless person who only knows how to dodge." Before he could say the word thing, Long Fei's body moved. It was incomparably fast. A useless person who only knows how to dodge. A useless person who only knows how to dodge. Bam! He bent his knees and knelt down abruptly. Gui Taibao directly kneeled on the ground, not knowing what was going on. He heard a cold voice come from behind him. "I hate people who don't keep their promises the most in my life." His voice was cold. Gui Taibao's heart was trembling. Without waiting for him to speak, Long Fei slapped the back of his head. Bam! His head heavily hit the ground, and his head immediately burst open, blood shooting out from it. Gui Taibao cried out in pain. Long Fei slowly walked back to Lin Shuang'er. Lin Shuang'er's eyes were filled with worship, and even his pupils flickered. He instantly morphed into a little girl and stared at Long Fei, so domineering, "You're such a good man. He's simply too handsome. My heart is beating so fast watching this." Lin Shuang'er was completely infatuated with her. Long Fei smiled lightly. The idea moved and retracted the power of the ancient dragon body. He returned to the appearance of the handsome young man, who was trembling as he walked. In his past life, he had trained in the game for 10 years, and his movements were incomparably coquettish and sharp. But he was not used to the ancient world's gravity yet, so no matter how much he moved, he could not dodge Gui Taibao's sword moves. He could only use the power of the ancient dragon body. That makes it easy. Dodging such a low-level sword technique was too easy. Seeing blood flowing out from his forehead, Gui Taibao roared, "You dare hit me? You dare to make me kneel and kowtow? Do you know who I am?" Long Fei's mouth curved upwards, and said, "I don't know. However, I know, if you keep on screaming, then you won't simply have to kowtow, your life will probably be lost." His voice was cold. Gui Taibao's eyes darkened. He quickly got up from the ground, stared at Long Fei, and said, "Brat, just you wait." Long Fei said, "Don't wait, come and fuck me now." Gui Taibao could not say a word, and quickly crawled out of the forest. Lin Shuang'er laughed uncontrollably, "Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Gui Taibao, you actually have such a day?" The laughter was flowery. Seeing her cute smile, Long Fei couldn't help but think of the women in Universal Realm, and secretly clench his fists. It seemed like they were safe now. But if he failed to kill Emperor Xian, they would still have to hide and hide, and they could die at any time. We need to find the Emperor Xian. I have to kill him as soon as possible, Long Fei said in his heart. Looking at Long Fei's preoccupied expression, Lin Shuang'er thought that he was afraid of Gui Taibao taking revenge on him. He immediately consoled him, "Don't worry, with this lady here, he, Gui Taibao, does not dare to do anything to you." Long Fei rolled his eyes at her, and said, "I'm only worried about you." Lin Shuang'er laughed heartily and said, "Those few moves of yours were so cool, but do you know who Gui Taibao is?" Long Fei replied, "I don't know." Lin Shuang'er was slightly shocked, and asked, "Are you really someone from the Neon City? You don't even know who Gui Taibao is? He is the only son of the Gui's family's patriarch, Gui Tianyi, and even more so the godson of the city lord. All these identities are average, but he has an even more powerful identity, and he is an outer disciple of the ancient antiquity. Do you know the consequences of offending him?" Long Fei pretended to be scared and said, "I have you right? Didn't you say that you would protect me?" Lin Shuang'er trembled, and said, "Looks like you really don't know his identity. However, I will keep my word. If I say I will protect you, then I will definitely protect you. Don't worry. But you have to teach me your walk like snakeskin, so that I can win against Gui Taibao at the competition." Long Fei said, "It's the walk like a snake. Sigh, it's all the same. They're all snakes anyway." Lin Shuang'er did not care what it was called, but she knew that it was very powerful. Long Fei said, "How long until your so-called competition?" Lin Shuang'er replied, 3 days. Long Fei replied, "That's difficult." Lin Shuang'er's eyes darkened, revealing a sobbing tone, "If I lose, then I will marry Gui Taibao. You don't want me to marry him, right?" Long Fei muttered, and said, "I don't want to. After all, I've kissed a woman before. How can I not let you marry a man that I don't like?" Lin Shuang'er's cheeks flushed red. She giggled and said, "I knew you would have a way." She seemed to see herself shine at the competition. It shook the entire Neon City. He was like a king as he giggled. At this moment, a middle-aged man hurried over and said, "Shuang'er, your father is calling you back." In the first second, he was king, but in the next second, Lin Shuang'er was like an eggplant that was being frozen. He muttered, "Oh." The middle-aged man also looked at Long Fei. There was a trace of disgust and also a trace of shock in his eyes. Lin Shuang'er looked at Long Fei and said, "You follow me back. I want to introduce you to my father. I can't protect you. My dad can definitely protect you." The middle-aged man looked at Long Fei once again. Lin Shuang'er said, "Third uncle, he is my new little brother. From now on he is with me." Ignoring third uncle's green face, he directly pulled Long Fei and walked towards the Lin clan. Seeing that Lin Shuang'er had walked far away, the 2 servants of the Lin family immediately went up to Lin Fenglei and reported what had happened to him. Lin Fenglei came over because he saw Gui Taibao's forehead bleeding, but he did not expect such a thing to happen. Is he really that powerful? Lin Fenglei did not believe it. He could not see any cultivation on Long Fei, let alone a swordsman. He wasn't even a warrior. This kind of person could be a match for Gui Taibao. Lin Fenglei didn't think much as he pushed his speed to the limit and returned back to the Lin family a step ahead of Lin Shuang'er. "What did you say? You said that an unfamiliar man appeared by Shuang'er's side and beat Gui Taibao? Beating them until they bled from the head. And you even knelt down and kowtowed. This." Lin Yuantu's eyes tightened, and said solemnly, "Isn't this nonsense? Someone, come. Immediately send 1,000-year holy sauce to Gui's family. All 3, you should just make a trip." Lin Yuantu felt that letting a servant go was not enough of respect, after all. Gui's family was the #1 clan in Neon City. Gui Taibao's identity was also special. Just the Gui's family alone was enough to make the Lin family cower, let alone the ancient antiquity. "Must be pacified." Lin Fenglei said, "I'll go right now. Big brother, do you want to meet the man by Shuang'er's side?" "I think." Lin Yuantu said, "What do you want to see? If I saw him, what would Gui's family think?" "I will definitely say that I arranged it. Pass my orders. Don't let that brat step half a step into the Lin clan." Lin Yuantu wanted to sever all relations. Lin Yuantu wanted to sever all relations. This was the only way to protect the Lin clan. In the Neon City, there was no way the Lin family could fight against the Gui's family. Just the mining site alone would be enough to strangle the Lin clan. The Lin family owned a mine that produced all kinds of refined ores, and most of the ores in the Neon City were harvested by the Gui's family. If Gui's family did not want the Lin family's mines, then it would be equivalent to taking half of the Lin family's life. The economic life vein was completely in the Gui's family's hands. This was also the reason why Lin Yuantu wanted to marry into the Gui's family. Not only was Gui Taibao an outstanding talent, he had already been accepted as an outer disciple by the ancient antiquity and could enter the ancient antiquity to cultivate by the end of this year. And his even Gui Tianyi's only son, the future patriarch of the Gui's family. By that time, his daughter would be the matriarch of the Lin clan, and the Lin clan wouldn't have to worry about anything else. Now that Gui Taibao had been beaten up, he had to get rid of this relationship. He absolutely could not allow Long Fei to take even half a step into the Lin family household. Once Long Fei entered the Lin family would not be able to handle it anymore. With your performance today, my dad will definitely be scared silly. Hey, don't worry. When you see my father, you will officially become a servant of the Lin family. From now on, you will be my little follower, and my words will be orders. Do you understand? Lin Shuang'er said smugly. Thinking about the scene of Gui Taibao fleeing in panic, she couldn't help but feel happy. No one in the Lin family would offend Gui Taibao. Lin Shuang'er had always been holding back his anger in her heart. She couldn't beat Gui Taibao, and no one helped her vent her anger. Long Fei laughed, but did not do it on purpose. When he cultivated to his level, he had experienced countless planes, so his identity was no longer important to him. He entered the ancient world to seek revenge. However, the ancient world was far bigger than he had imagined. Where is the Emperor Xian? I don't know. Where is the Dragon Vein Mountain? Don't know. Where was the God-living mountain of the Mu clan? I don't know. Long Fei didn't even know where he was currently located. And what's the situation in the ancient world? Long Fei had to figure this out as soon as possible. If he wanted to find out, he needed to find a place with people to find out, or look for a book that recorded the records of the ancient world to flip through. Look, the Lin clan is right in front of us. How about it? How awe-inspiring. Lin Shuang'er pointed to the Lin clan's gate. Indeed. The word Lin residence was written with vigor, and carried an aura of spirituality. It seemed to be written by a divine being. However, other than the words on the signboard, the Lin clan's main entrance appeared ordinary, just like a small clan. There was nothing special about it. Long Fei said lightly, "Your words are not bad." Lin Shuang'er was satisfied, and said, "Of course, this was written by a great god of our Lin family, and it is also because of the great master that our Lin family was able to stand up for so many years." Long Fei was shocked, and said, "Your Lin family even had a god? What realm is it?" Lin Shuang'er took a look at Long Fei's shocked expression, and said, "It must have been a god. What realm is it now?" "I don't know, but a person who can be called a god in ancient world must have a very high cultivation. At the very least, his cultivation is much higher than my father's." It had been too long. Lin Shuang'er did not even know what his Lin family's master's cultivation level was. She only knew that the Lin family's master was a great god. It was unknown how big he was. God. Long Fei muttered in his heart, "What realm does the Emperor Xian belong to in the ancient world?" Lin Shuang'er asked, "Emperor Xian? Who is the Emperor Xian? Is this person really that strong? You actually dare to call yourself the Emperor in the ancient world?" The Emperor was very special in the ancient world. Under normal circumstances, no one would dare use the title of Emperor. Long Fei did not explain, but was just secretly shocked. Seems like the reputation of the Emperor Xian is not as great as that of the Universal Realm. Even the 3-year-old boy from the Universal Realm knows that the first powerhouse is the Emperor Xian. Or could it be that her level is too low, and she is simply unable to come into contact with information regarding powerhouse? At this time, Lin Shuang'er walked to the Lin Palace's entrance and said, "We have arrived." At the entrance of the Lin Palace, 2 disciples that were guarding the door immediately greeted Lin Shuang'er. Eldest Miss Lin Shuang'er nodded his head and said, "Quickly go and inform my father, tell him that I have brought back a fierce person, and have him personally greet me." After he finished speaking, Lin Shuang'er then said to Long Fei, "How was it? Aren't I giving you face? He he." However, just as she finished speaking, one of the guards said, "The Patriarch has instructed us to send you to the courtyard of the Patriarch as soon as you return." Lin Shuang'er was startled. "Father already knows? It seems like third uncle arrived home before us." "All right. I understand, I'll go now." After saying that, he pulled Long Fei and walked towards the palace. The 2 guards immediately went up to stop Long Fei, and said, "Young miss, the Patriarch has ordered that he is not allowed to step half a step into the Lin family household." Lin Shuang'er's gaze turned cold as he said, "He's my master. Even my master is not allowed to enter the Lin clan?" In front of outsiders, Lin Shuang'er still gave Long Fei a lot of face. The guard disciple said, "I'm sorry young miss, this is the Patriarch's order." Lin Shuang'er's face was filled with displeasure. "What is my father thinking?" Immediately, Lin Shuang'er looked at Long Fei and said, "Wait here for a moment, I'll go find my father and explain everything. I'll come pick you up later." She did not want to let Long Fei go. She still wanted to cultivate the walk like snakeskin and shine at the competition. Long Fei nodded. However, looking at the posture in front of him, Long Fei already had a notion that it had something to do with Gui Taibao. Lin Shuang'er anxiously ran into the Lin Palace and shouted loudly all the way, "Father, father." After a few minutes the sound faded. Long Fei stood at the entrance of the Lin Palace, looking at the streams of people walking on the street. The world in front of him was not any different from the world he had experienced in the past. There were also ordinary people. He also had to eat. It was not because the ancient world S were all powerhouse S who flew in the sky and fled in the ground. There were ordinary citizens as well. There were also ordinary people who were running about for their lives. Martial arts training required talent after all, and those who had talent were few in number. Long Fei sighed with emotion. After opening the system out of boredom, seeing that the system girl was still in deep sleep, Long Fei muttered in his heart, "What's going on? Sleep all the time? What is the system's designer doing now? Or did something happen in Hall of Eternal Life?" Long Fei was not sure. The system girl was not an ordinary system, she was just an artificial intelligence system with her own consciousness, which was completely different from the previous systems. If I have the chance, I must meet the system designer. Long Fei really wanted to know what kind of person designed this game system. Half an hour passed. Long Fei looked at the Lin residence and thought, "Looks like I won't be able to get out." If she was going to come out, she would have already come out. Lin Shuang'er was definitely stopped by her father. If she was going to come out, she would have already come out. Lin Shuang'er was definitely stopped by her father. Long Fei had already understood in his heart. Thus, he did not continue to stay. Walking forward, he said, "Could I trouble you to inform your young lady that I've left?" The guard coldly replied, "Understood." Long Fei turned and left. The mocking laughter of the 2 guards came from behind him. "A toad wanting to eat a swan's meat, why don't you take a piss and take care of yourself?" "Exactly, he's worthy of our young miss. How long does he think he can live after offending young Master Gui? Ha ha ha. What the hell is he? Is he even qualified to be compared with young Master Gui? Trash with no cultivation at all." Long Fei ignored the mocking laughter behind him. Because there was no need to waste time with 2 insignificant people, they didn't even have the right to let Long Fei waste time. Long Fei walked down the street with heavy steps. Furthermore, he had just arrived at Ancient World and his body was not used to it at all. The important thing is, his stomach would be hungry. In Universal Realm, he rarely felt hungry, because he was brimming with profound qi and filled with energy. He did not feel hungry at all. But it was different in the Ancient World. His cultivation was the lowest in Ancient World, and the profound qi in his body was the thinnest. He had to replenish his energy through food. Gu. Gulp. Long Fei's stomach started to chime in. I have to think of a way to eat something. He felt in his pocket. Not a single one. Ancient world was the same, money was important. No money, nothing. Could not help but gulp as he looked at the meat buns that had just been cooked. Finally, I feel like I can't move an inch without money. Roast duck. A freshly baked duck. Meat buns. Braised elbow, hurry up and buy it. The hungrier they were, the louder the shouts became. Long Fei could not take it anymore, his stomach growling, but he was not a bandit, and if he was a bandit, he would probably be crippled before he could snatch it. Think about it, I killed even the shadow of a Emperor Xian in Universal Realm, and am now in such a miserable state in the ancient world. Long Fei felt bitter in his heart. No way. Fill up your stomach first. If you want to fill your stomach, you have to make money first. However, how do you make money? Doing business? With what? Selling labor? I can't even walk steadily, how can I sell it? Selling weapons? Do acrobatics? It can't be. Long Fei never thought that he would have such an opportunity. In order to fill his stomach, he became very embarrassed. In this ancient world, I will do quite a bit. Only the skin of a snake. Walk like a snake. How about walk like a snake? Long Fei's mind moved. Immediately, Long Fei shouted loudly, don't miss a chance when you pass by. Each time, if you can beat me up to 10 times as much as I can. Don't miss a single word of mine. If you see a corner of my shirt, it'll be my loss. Passing by. It immediately attracted a lot of people. Cultivation wasn't for acting. This world didn't have street juggling, so Long Fei had attracted them all at once. Of course. If not for the fact that he wanted to fill his stomach, Long Fei would not have done this. He was doing too much. What do you mean? 10 times more compensation if I hit you, right? What if he is killed? A brawny man said with a sneer on his face. Long Fei said, one at a time, if you come across me, it will be my loss. I only give you one move. If I am beaten to death, then even if my fate is bad, it has nothing to do with you. The sturdy man instantly threw a child in front of Long Fei. Hugging him with both fists, he exploded out, this old man has always wanted to kill someone to train, I'll start with you. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, please. Long Fei stood in place. The sturdy man clenched his fist, and as soon as Long Fei finished speaking, he punched downwards. Boom. The wind from his fist blew as it rumbled through the air. Long Fei's footsteps moved slightly, he twisted his body, and acted as if he was in danger as he dodged the punch. The brawny man's punch missed. Long Fei cupped his fists, thank you. He picked up the small gold coin on the ground, a type of gold coin unique to ancient world. The sturdy man's face was filled with displeasure, he threw out another small gold coin, and before Long Fei could stand up straight, he threw out a punch. Long Fei was the same as before. He suddenly twisted his body. That action was very coquettish, almost as if he had dodged the man's fist. With a shocked expression, he said, that was close. Just a bit more. The sturdy man was enraged, he grabbed a handful of gold coins and threw it towards Long Fei. Bam! Bam! Bang! His fist formed wind, and continued to strike at Long Fei's entire body. Long Fei was like a paper man, twisting left and right, coquettishly moving forward. If anyone noticed his movements, they would know how sharp his movements were. They were all small steps. His body slightly felt it, moving in an instant. Many times he did this before the brawny man could even punch him. Bang, bang, bam. The sturdy man was furious, but he touched a single hair on Long Fei's head. Suddenly, Long Fei's body moved, he stopped and said, the last punch, the money is done. The sturdy man tensed up, he grabbed the money bag with one hand and realized that it was empty. He stared at Long Fei fiercely and said, you only know how to dodge, if you have the guts, meet my fist head on. Long Fei smiled apologetically, I only know how to dodge. I don't have any strength, how would I dare to receive your fist? I don't dare, I really don't dare. Since he earned money from others, he naturally had to flatter them a bit. Long Fei picked up the gold coin on the ground and said indifferently, Do you still want to try? Let me give it a try. I'll give it a try too. I'll do it. All of a sudden, more and more people surrounded him, wanting to give it a try. After all, they only saw that Long Fei wasn't anything special, he was just moving his feet slightly, and wasn't anything fancy. Furthermore, every time they met Long Fei, they would receive 10 times the compensation, so everyone wanted to give it a try. At the entrance of the Neon City, one old and one young, they entered the city. The old one wore very thick clothes, 3 layers on the inside and 3 layers on the outside. The old one wore very thick clothes, 3 layers on the inside and 3 layers on the outside. It was strange for the old man to wear so much. The other one was a young girl, about 10 years old. She looked like a porcelain doll, and her clothes were completely different from the old man's. Her clothes. It was like ice. The clothes she wore were sparkling and translucent, but it was impossible to see inside her body. Upon entering the city, they immediately attracted countless gazes. However, the two of them didn't even look at the surrounding people. The little girl looked at the group of people in the distance and immediately said, "Master Xian, with so many people surrounding us, it must be fun. I'll go take a look first." As soon as he finished, the figure had already disappeared. The elder hastily gave chase and said, "Phoenix, slow down." The walk like a snake was extremely cool. The walk like a snake was extremely cool. Every step was just right. Perfectly dodging all attacks. This was also because the cultivation bases of the people on the streets were average. Most of them were not even comparable to Lin Shuang's cultivation, and he did not even need to use the power of the ancient dragon body to deal with them. An hour passed. Long Fei earned a lot from this. At least for now, he didn't have to worry about filling his stomach. Is there anyone else? Is there anyone else who wants to try? Long Fei looked at the packed crowd and asked. Many people around them were panting heavily. These people had spent over 100 gold coins, all of his strength had been used up, but he could not even touch a hair on Long Fei. Many people clamored, "Brat, if you have the balls, don't hide, let's fight." Exactly. Now, let's change to another method, direct combat. If you can take a punch from me, I'll give you 100 gold coins. Me too. These people were infuriated to the extreme by Long Fei, but they couldn't reach him. Long Fei smiled apologetically. "I only know a little footwork, how can my cultivation compare to yours? All you brothers are dragons among men, 1 punch will take my life, I do not dare." Long Fei did not want to make a move. His fist also did not have any strength. In ancient world, his cultivation was still at the lowest level. These people felt a little better after hearing Long Fei's words. "It's useless to look at you. You don't have the slightest bit of cultivation aura on you. It's fine for you to have such a pace. Brat, do you want to follow me? I am a member of the Wang family, and our family's patriarch, Wang Dahai, is recruiting all kinds of disciples. Do you want to register?" Long Fei cupped his fists. "Thank you, I do not have much talent in cultivation, so I will not disturb your clan master. Is there anyone else? If not, I'll be closing up today." He was extremely hungry. Adding on the more than an hour of energy consumption, Long Fei's stomach was so close to his back that it felt like it was about to starve to death. If he did not eat any more, he would probably be the only one in Universal Realm that would starve to death. "I'll do it." Just as Long Fei finished speaking, a young man walked in. The man had round eyes and 2 sword-shaped eyebrows. His physique was slightly robust and one could clearly see the muscles on his body beneath his robe. As he walked out of the crowd, the expressions of the people around him changed. Zhao family's Zhao Hu. Among the younger generation, one's talent is only second to Gui Taibao. I heard that with his brute strength, he was able to kill 1,000 Jin Bear King with 1 punch. So fierce. This kid is going to suffer. Even if his fist can't be hit, the wind from his fist can still heavily injure him. Zhao Meng who took out a gold coin and threw it at Long Fei, saying, "I'll send you to the sky with a punch." Long Fei kept the money and made an inviting gesture. "Please." The one who spent the money was the boss. Long Fei served him. Zhao Meng whose fist became heavy. He glanced at Long Fei's foot and then suddenly exerted his strength. Whang! Rumble! His fist didn't move, but a gale exploded forth from it. The strength stripes flashed out one after another. If one were to compare strength, his strength was stronger than Gui Taibao's. Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Zhao Menghu shouted, "Kid, I'm coming." Boom. Taking a step forward, the ground trembled slightly. He leaped up and dove down from the sky, his fist roaring like the wind, aimed straight for Long Fei's head. At the same time, his left fist was hidden behind his back. Both fists were moving. His left fist was hidden and not released. He was waiting, ready to react at any time. Attack with one fist, attack with one punch. No matter how Long Fei moved, he couldn't do it. Zhao Menghu smiled proudly in his heart. You were the one who dodged. This world isn't about dodging or positioning, it's about strength. No way. Long Fei frowned. He had simulated this in his mind before. If he did not use the power of the ancient dragon body, he would not be able to dodge this move. Immediately, the idea moved. The aura on his body slightly changed. Boom. Long Fei's chi exploded, and a shadow suddenly appeared on his body. No one in the crowd could see it clearly, but the eyes of the 10-year-old little girl gently lifted. Master Xian, his aura. The old man's heart skipped a beat. Dragon clan? Impossible. The dragon race has already been wiped out by the Emperor Xian. Even if the dragon race managed to escape, they shouldn't have been able to do such a thing. Selling talent on the streets was truly miserable. Moreover, Dragon Clan disciples were naturally proud and arrogant. Even if they had starved to death, they wouldn't do such a thing. The little girl murmured, "The aura on his body is so special. Could it be the kind of aura that Auntie talked about?" The little girl looked at Long Fei seriously. Under the power of the ancient dragon body, Long Fei was able to easily dodge Zhao Menghu's attack. Boom. It landed 3 meters away. The ancient dragon body's chi immediately stopped. Because Long Fei felt 2 very strong auras around him. Zhao Menghu's punch did not hit nothing but air as he looked at Long Fei, who was 3 meters away, with a stunned expression. "How did you do that?" And then Zhao Menghu smiled and said, "I lost." The surrounding crowd was also in an uproar. Even Zhao Menghu had admitted defeat. Even Zhao Menghu lost. This is too unbelievable. Who the hell is this kid? Did you guys clearly see that footwork just now? I don't even know how he moved. This footwork is too bizarre. Brother, my patriarch Wang Dahai really needs an expert like you to join our Wang family. How about that? What's your Wang family? That's right, clan leader's son. Do you think others don't know that you're the leader of the Wang clan? You're Wang Dahai. The man was somewhat embarrassed. Long Fei cupped his fists and laughed. "Thank you, I was also close by. Your strength is very strong. If I had been hit, I would have died." Zhao Menghu said, "Don't be modest. This is the first time I've seen someone who has cultivated their footwork to such a level. Brother, let's spar again next time when there's a chance. I still have more. I'll be leaving first." Zhao Menghu clasped hands and left. Long Fei's gaze swept across the crowd, and asked, "Who are the 2 powerful auras?" His current cultivation level was not ancient dragon body, so he could not feel it. At this moment, a little girl walked out. Dressed in a body of ice crystals, her appearance was even more breathtaking. She looked at Long Fei and said, "Big brother, can I give it a try?" Such a beautiful lowly dressed, they all looked very special. Of course. Long Fei also noticed a detail. There was a very shallow mark on the girl's chest. Phoenix. Ice phoenix. This made Long Fei think of a girl. She was also a phoenix, and this girl, Long Fei remembered his name. Jojo. Long Fei looked at the little girl and said with a bland smile, "Sorry, it's time today." Long Fei did not want to continue anymore. Because his intuition told him that this lowly in front of him was not simple. Strange clothes. Strange clothes. Her appearance was too exquisite. This kind of girl was definitely not simple. Moreover, it was very possible that one of the 2 powerful auras from earlier had been from her. Thus, Long Fei refuse. The little girl did not give up, and with a flip of her right hand, she took out a crystal-clear holy source, and said, "This is an ice attribute holy source, its value is 1,000,000 gold coins. As long as I try it, no matter who wins, it will all be yours." Holy source. The source of power for the ancient world warriors to cultivate. It was divided into many attributes, and each attribute's holy source had a different effect on each cultivator. Swordsmen trained in the way of the sword, holy source. Strength practitioners trained in holy source S. Be it alchemy masters or refiners, they all had their own unique holy source to cultivate. This way, they would be able to single out and avoid detours. Each profession had their own unique cultivation energy. Ancient world, the mother line of original world S who had spread across all spirits. She could reproduce holy source of various attributes. However, they were all based on ordinary holy source, and the ice attribute holy source in the hands of a little girl was considered to be a scarce holy source. This kind of holy source was not worthless because there were less people who cultivated the ice attribute, rather, it was more valuable. It's an ice attribute holy source. Heavens, this is the first time in my life that I have seen an ice attribute holy source. What a pure holy source. This holy source can be sold for at least 5,000,000 gold coins. Just whose family does this girl belong to? She used a precious holy source the moment she attacked. Even the Gui's family does not have this kind of extravagant gift. Kid, hurry up and accept it. That's right, as long as you get this holy source, you won't have to worry about food or water for your entire life. Brat, your luck is here. Tempting, extremely tempting. Long Fei had just arrived at Ancient World and didn't know what the holy source was, but from the voices around him, it wasn't hard to tell that this thing was very valuable. However, no matter how valuable it wasn't worth as much as his own life. Even if he had money, he still had to live to enjoy it. The little girl in front of him had already been determined by Long Fei as a dangerous character by now. Long Fei said faintly, "I'm sorry, it's over today." Without waiting for Long Fei to finish, a few more holy source appeared in the little girl's hands, and she said, "As long as you make a move, these will all be yours." This caused an uproar. Fire holy source. Beast attack, holy source. Wood type holy source. My God, they are all precious holy sources. This. Little girl, can I do it? I, Wang Dahai, don't know anything else, so I know some steps. I'm willing to practice one with you. Me too. Let alone one move, I would even be willing to spend my entire life doing it. These few holy sources are worth tens of millions. Actually, these people did not know much about the holy source. Those who knew what was good would know that any holy source in the little girl's hands was of the highest quality and that any one of them was worth 50,000,000 gold coins. If these holy source were exchanged for gold coins, they could form a small mountain. However, the little girl had no concept of gold coins. Gold coins were like air to her. Long Fei was still smiling faintly. "I'm sorry, it's really over today." Money was nothing but air to the little girl, but to Long Fei, more or less. He already had the money to fill his stomach, so he didn't need any other money. Moreover, use the holy source to cultivate. Non-existent. His cultivation did not rely on the holy source, nor the energy of this world. What he relied on was the system, and what he relied on was slaughter. The little girl pouted and said, "Then will you still be here tomorrow?" Long Fei replied, "I don't know." The little girl looked at Long Fei and said, "You have a very special aura on your body. Can you tell me what that aura is?" As expected, Long Fei's heart quivered, and pretended that he did not understand, and said, "A special aura? What kind of aura was this?" "I don't know." The little girl looked at Long Fei and said, "You lied to me." Long Fei said, "I really do not know what this special aura is. I don't even know how to cultivate. How could there be a special aura in my body?" Long Fei would never admit it. The ancient dragon body was his trump card, it would not be revealed so easily. The little girl was very unhappy. But there was nothing she could do. An elder walked out after him. "Young master, we'll be leaving now." Long Fei looked at the old man, his heart also becoming gloomy. This old man is also not a simple person. The little girl was a little unwilling, but she had to leave. She looked at Long Fei seriously and said, "I will remember you." After he finished speaking, he followed the old man towards the distant neon city. Long Fei thought to himself, ancient world is still an ancient world after all. Since such a powerhouse can even appear in such a remote city, we must be more careful in the future. The crowd dispersed. Long Fei fiercely ate a meal. With his stomach full, Long Fei asked the shop assistant if there was any library or anything like that in Neon City. The servant pointed to the west side of the city and said, "There's a place where you can read books, and it's free of charge. It's just that the books inside are useless and there aren't many people who would like to read them." Long Fei thanked him and left the restaurant. He did not plan to stay in the Neon City for long. He wanted to understand the world as soon as possible and find the Emperor Xian quickly. In the library. A rather special existence in the Neon City. There were tens of thousands of books in the library, but none of them were related to martial arts. Then there were some legendary stories that were almost like novels. There was a ferocious tiger transforming into a human. There was a great god, the flying immortal. There was an ancient war. There were also love between children and women, separated by yin and yang. There was only one attic guard in the entire library. He was the only one here and he repeated one thing every day, cleaning the library. Even if there were no restaurants and no one came in, the place would still be spotless. Long Fei walked into the library. Strangely, he was not in attic guard today. "Is anyone there? Is anyone there?" No reaction after a few shouts. Long Fei muttered, "Anyway, it's free of charge, I'll just take a look around." There were all kinds of books on the shelves. Golden Plate Protector, Reincarnation of the Lord of Buddha. Damn, these novels are even more awesome than novels from my previous life. Long Fei laughed, and then found the ancient records, Birth of the Ancient World, Treasure Mirror of the Ancient World, 3 books. With 3 times the book, Long Fei sat on the chair and started reading. In the dark, the little girl looked at Long Fei who was seriously reading and said, "Why would he read these 3 books?" Master Xian also frowned. He didn't understand either. The 3 books simply described the distribution of power in the ancient world, the domains, the various monsters in the ancient world, the various forbidden lands, and some ancient legends. Very few people in the ancient world would read such a book. At this time, Attic Guard hurriedly returned and said in a low voice, "Master Xian." Master Xian tightened his eyebrows and immediately followed him out. Attic Guard whispered, "They are here." Master Xian frowned, "Such fast speed." Master Xian frowned, "Such fast speed." Attic Guard said, "You guys go first, I'll go stop them for a while." Master Xian shook his head, "You are not their opponent, moreover, you have your own mission in Neon City." Attic Guard laughed bitterly, "I have been here for 3,800 years, and I almost forgot why I am here. Time is the erasure of a memory. Over time, you don't even know why you're alive, for whom." Master Xian said, "Don't worry, we will wait." Attic Guard laughed, "It's been a few years since anyone has come to the Rainbow Skirt Field to read. The person I have to wait for shouldn't be in Neon City." The Master Xian replied, "Just because we don't have time right now doesn't mean that we won't have it in the future. It's just that the time we have left isn't up yet. Also, someone just came in." Attic Guard shivered slightly, then said, "Someone is reading a book?" His nerves immediately tensed up. Master Xian laughed, "You said that you forgot your mission? It's just one person entering a book, and you're so nervous." Attic Guard laughed, and said, "Master Xian has let you down." Master Xian looked at the little girl who was seriously staring at Long Fei in the room, and her eyes slightly tightened, and said, "If I don't return, your mission is to escort her back to Phoenix Valley." Attic Guard nodded, "I understand. Master Xian, you will come back. I don't want to finish the mission on your behalf. After all, I have a mission on my hands." Master Xian replied, "Understood." Without saying much, the 2 of them left after a few words. The little girl looked at Long Fei, her hands supporting her cheeks, as she muttered to herself, "Why do I keep feeling like you are the person I'm looking for? No. It should be the person my aunt is looking for. How strange." His two big eyes moved left and right gently. Very cute. Aunt. Bing Bing missed you so much. As she spoke, the little girl took out a black box and softly said, Auntie, this is your 9th Nirvana rebirth. What will you become again? Don't worry, Bing Bing has grown up. She will definitely protect Aunt well. She definitely won't let anyone bully her. His big eyes were filled with determination. Night fell. On the tower of the city gate, 3 figures descended. The 3 of them stood on the rooftop as if they had completely merged into the darkness, their figures completely invisible. Right in this city. Old thing, I didn't think that we would actually take a detour. Do you think we won't be able to find you all just because of this? Back then, it was precisely the Phoenix clan that caused us to suffer so much. This time, we must definitely take revenge and return. Heh. Revenge is secondary, the most important thing is that thing. As long as we can obtain that item, the women of the Phoenix clan can be easily humiliated by us. Heh. The 3 of them laughed obscenely at the same time. Then, he stepped into the darkness. And at this moment, bam! With an explosive sound, the dark void seemed to have split apart as a silhouette flew out hundreds of kilometers away before spitting out a mouthful of blood. It was just that. In an instant, Zhong Xian's face returned to normal. With a heavy voice, he shouted, Old man, you dare to launch a sneak attack? Sure. He instantly returned to the Neon City. At this moment, Master Xian floated in the air, his thick clothes flapping as he stared at the 3 black-clothed men and asked, You're really not going to let us go? One of the men said coldly, Didn't you not let us off that year? The Master Xian said, You have all avenged yourselves now, and killed over 100 of my Phoenix clan's clansmen, is that not enough? Ha. Back then, when we were beaten into the seal by your Phoenix clan, I swore to myself at that time that I would not kill all of your Phoenix clan and this old man would not rest. The man spoke gloomily, his eyes filled with killing intent. Another black-clothed man said, Xian Ming, hand over the Phoenix god's blood and we can let you die a quick death. Otherwise, not only will you die miserably, your young master will also. Adultery before killing. Heh. Ha. I like it. That little girl is quite pretty. I've never played with such a little girl before, ha. Master Xian frowned. Buzz. As the long sword fell, a long sword that looked like phoenix feathers appeared in his hand. His body moved and he quickly charged forward. The 3 of them looked at him coldly. You are courting death. He attacked at the same time. Boom. After a few moves, the 4 of them instantly entered a void. To the people of the Neon City, they did not feel anything and could not see anything. To them, the Master Xian and the rest were like gods. They naturally wouldn't be able to see a fight between immortals. In the library, Long Fei closed the ancient records and let out a long breath. This is King. Ancient world is way too big, right? When are we going to find it? The entire book only introduces the places that I have been to with nearly 500,000 words. There are many places that I have never been to before. Long Fei could not imagine just how big of a world this was. The demon beast is cleansing itself every second. The mountains turn into spirits, the rivers into demons, the demons turn into humans, the humans become demons, the beasts become slaves, and the slaves soar into the sky. This is virtually a chaos world. The things recorded in the book were strange and varied. Moreover, in ancient world, it is a world full of wonders, because you don't even know what you will encounter in the next second. A tree would suddenly become a tree spirit because of an ancient power. A person would turn into a giant beast with a body exploding due to a sudden burst of energy. The ancient worlds were far more complicated than Long Fei had expected. This was a chaotic world. At the same time, it was also a miracle world. To Long Fei, this was a world of heaven. With the system in his possession, the more chaotic the better. Long Fei picked up the second book, Ancient Treasure Mirror. There were all sorts of strange stories and legends about the birth of the ancient world. The primordial chaos of the world, the grand Tao of the heavens. The body of the dragon is broken. It was born in this world, and became the first spiritual object in this world. When Long Fei saw this, his heart secretly tensed up. This dragon is Long Batian, the first dragon of ancient world. Awesome. Dragons haunt the world and are lawless. Break through the emptiness and bring in the demons. The color of the sky and earth changes, all devils move. The war for the suppression of the seal will last for 1,000,000 years. A battle that lasted millions of years. The whole world was about to be destroyed by this battle. The stone from outer space flew down, suppressing. With the fall of the dragon, the world was stable. The outer space stone should be the repression of boundary stones, but why do I feel like the repression of boundary stones didn't suppress Long Batian? But to stabilize the ancient world. Long Fei secretly thought. Suddenly, the sound of an explosion came from the rear courtyard of the library. Bam! Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Grandfather Master Xian. The little girl cried out in alarm and ran out. It was also at this time. Attic Guard also quickly walked in, but when he saw the 3 books that Long Fei had placed on the table, his pupils suddenly contracted, and burst out with a sharp light. It's him. Ha ha ha. I'm finally here. You finally appeared. Is it finally time? Is it finally time? Is this him? Attic Guard's heart started to palpitate and his heart started to beat faster. Looking at Long Fei, who was reading the real ancient world's treasure mirror, he carefully sized up this youth. She had delicate features. His eyes were determined. Other than his handsome appearance, he could not see anything else. Cultivation base, 0. Talent, 0. It was as if he could not see through a person's attributes at all. Could it be an illusion? Is it a coincidence? Attic Guard's heart sank. It's impossible for him to be someone with such a low cultivation, and he doesn't have any talent or potential at all. Why is that? Coincidence. Is it a coincidence? He was waiting for someone. A person who appeared in the library and chose the birth of the ancient world, treasure mirror of the ancient world and atlas of the ancient world 3 books. He had waited 3,800 years for the person who would choose these 3 books. In the long years, he even forgot what his mission was. In this long period of time, no one had ever selected these 3 books at the same time, and in recent years, no one had entered the library. All of these records were myths. Legends. If it didn't help the martial arts training in any way, who would pay attention to this place? Who would choose these 3 books? However, there were some things that no one could say. What if it was just a coincidence? Attic Guard's heart was very complicated. It was also at this time. From the rear courtyard of the library came a cry of pain. Grandpa Master Xian. Attic Guard retracted his thoughts, and looked at Long Fei once more, then quickly rushed to the backyard. Seeing Master Xian lying on the ground, his eyebrows tightened up. He rushed forward like an arrow. Holding on to the Master Xian's meridian, he felt a strong force enter the Master Xian's body, causing him to frown even more. Master Xian felt a surge of energy and he slightly opened his eyes. He looked at Attic Guard and said, "Go, quickly go. Your current mission is to take care of the Phoenix and rush back to Phoenix Valley." When Phoenix saw that Master Xian had woken up, she immediately said, "Grandpa Master Xian, let's go together." With a benevolent expression, Master Xian looked at Phoenix and said, "Phoenix, grandfather won't be able to walk anymore. From now on, you will follow him. Remember, no matter what happens, you can't hand it over." Phoenix nodded and said, "I'll remember it." Master Xian held onto Attic Guard's hand tightly, and said, "Brother Chen, I'll leave everything to you." Attic Guard hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he did not say the thing he was waiting for. Instead, he said heavily, "Don't worry, even if I risk my life, I will ensure young master's safety." The Master Xian smiled in relief, and said, "Those 3 people are heavily injured, they shouldn't be chasing us in the near future. All of you should hurry up and leave." "The sooner the better," Attic Guard replied. "All right." Master Xian's arm slipped as he looked at the Phoenix, and slowly closed his eyes. Phoenix completely panicked, threw herself onto Master Xian's body and began to loudly cry. "Grandfather, grandfather, grandfather Master Xian." Attic Guard helped the Phoenix up and said, "Phoenix, we are leaving." Phoenix struggled. Her eyes revealed a strange change as she looked at the sky and asked with a heavy voice, "Why? Why is it always like this? Why do the people around me always leave me? Why is that?" Ah! A sharp scream rang out. It was like the cry of a phoenix. The entire neon city was in an uproar, even the sky was trembling. He didn't know when. Long Fei walked to the entrance of the backyard, listening to Phoenix's scream. His heart secretly sank, he didn't know why, but he suddenly thought of a woman in his memories with Seal. Jojo. Seeing Phoenix struggling, his heart trembled. It was painful. Long Fei stepped forward. "Is there anything I can help you with?" It was only then that Attic Guard realized that Long Fei was standing behind him. Thinking about the 3 books that Long Fei had selected, his killing intent fell. "Who are you?" Long Fei said. "Me? I just want to help your people," Attic Guard asked. "Why did you come here?" Long Fei said, "I heard that there are free books to read here. I have no place to stay, so I want to spend the night here." Attic Guard asked again, "Why did you read those 3 books?" Long Fei said, "I casually took them. What happened to those 3 books?" He was completely at ease. It did not reveal any flaws. When he first came to Ancient World, there were dangers everywhere. If he was even the slightest bit careless, there was a possibility that he might not be able to recover at all. It was just that. His answer made Attic Guard exceptionally satisfied. Because Long Fei's answer was completely perfunctory, and so were the rest of the people he was waiting for. "It's really him? This is him. Has that man been reincarnated?" Attic Guard was excited again. At this moment, boom! With an explosive sound, a black figure appeared in the air above the backyard. Seeing Master Xian's corpse, he sneered sinisterly, "I knew it. How can you survive being hit by my divine wheel?" Ha ha ha! The phoenix's scream had attracted his attention. Seeing Master Xian on the ground, he revealed an excited expression. It was also at this time. Before Attic Guard had time to check Long Fei's identity, he pushed Phoenix beside Long Fei and heavily said, "Let's go." At the same time, he took out something from his bosom and threw it at Long Fei. "You must keep this thing well." It was just a simple sentence. Immediately after, the Reaper shouted again, "Leave the Neon City quickly, quick." As soon as he finished, Rumble Attic Guard's body suddenly exploded, immediately transforming into a black violent bear, his body tall and sturdy, reaching a height of more than 10 meters. Moreover, in the darkness, his body transformed into a complete invisibility. His strength caused the surrounding space to crack. This power. Long Fei watched in a daze, and thought, is he a human cultivator or a demon? Let's go. An explosion sounded in the air. Long Fei's mind was also blank. Seeing the phoenix that had a frightened face, he didn't think too much and pulled it along as he ran out of the academy. The same goes for the phoenix. Right now, she was completely muddlehead. The death of Master Xian had dealt a huge blow to her. She didn't know what to do. The moment she was held onto Long Fei's hand, she looked up at Long Fei and felt a strange feeling in her heart, so warm. So familiar. Why? Why is my heart so full of security? Phoenix herself did not understand how this could have happened. She had only seen Long Fei once, but at the moment she was held Long Fei's hand, she felt as if her heart had blossomed all of a sudden. He couldn't tell why. Until now, only was able to hold her back and follow her footsteps. She looked at Long Fei's side profile. Her heart was thumping wildly. After a long time, she suddenly couldn't control herself. "Young master." Long Fei turned his head to look at her and asked, "What?" Phoenix was also stunned. What did she just shout out? She didn't know. It was just a sudden sound. It was just a sudden sound. After shouting it out, she had forgotten about it. She didn't understand why he would call out the word young master. Why? Phoenix's heart was filled with curiosity. It was also at this time. Rumble, rumble, rumble. As the two forces collided, the sky became heavy. The collisions of energies bounced back, collided again, and bounced back. Countless collisions. Every time, the Reaper would go all out. He didn't know if he had made the right bet. However, he had no other choice now. A mere demonic bear dares to act rashly in front of me? You're courting death. Boom. The black-clothed man moved, and with a flip of his right hand, a black-colored divine will appeared. Powerful energy continued to spill out in all directions. Powerful divine power. Attic Guard's fists exploded, heavily smashing against his chest as he let out a roar. His body sank. Bam! With both feet in the air, the space began to crack and it rushed out at an incredible speed. The black-clothed man's eyes turned sinister. Bastard, die. The divine will moved, flying vertically into the air. The moment Attic Guard rushed to his side, the divine will fell down heavily. The black-clothed man laughed coldly. A beast is a beast, you don't have any brains at all. Hualala. The divine will spun, and like a cutting machine, it landed on Attic Guard's back. Fresh meat flew everywhere, and fresh blood spouted out like a pillar. The black-clothed man was extremely pleased with himself. But what he did not expect was that Attic Guard did not retreat, nor did he care about the divine wheel on his back, but fiercely pounced in front of the black-clothed man. Energetic force. Bear explosion. Boom. He hugged the black-clothed man's waist. He tightened his arms. The man in black's eyes bulged. Explode. Crack. His spine directly fractured. The black-clothed man cried out in pain. Ah. At the same time, his divine will madly hacked down. Hualala. Hualala. Pieces of flesh and blood flew out. Half of his body had been split open. That kind of pain was incomparable, as if Attic Guard could not feel it, and his arms became even stronger. Roar. A thunderous roar. He hugged even harder. Crack. 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 The spine and joints of the man in black's body cracked one after another. He was in so much pain that his heart was torn and his lungs were splitting. He was constantly struggling and exerting his strength. However, Attic Guard hugged him tightly, not allowing the black-clothed man to move at all. Divine wheel break. Die for me. The black-clothed man once again channeled his power into the divine wheel. The divine wheel spun even faster, causing Attic Guard's body to split in half. But even so, Attic Guard still held onto the black-clothed man tightly, trying to hurt him as much as possible. She would do her best to buy time for Long Fei and the others. Boom. Crack. The joints on his back completely shattered. Attic Guard's body could no longer endure it and was split into two. The entire backyard was filled with his corpse, and fresh blood flowed all over. The black-clothed man fell from the sky as well. He was also in so much pain that he wished he were dead. He had been seriously injured. At this moment, he had no way to continue chasing. He looked in the direction in which Phoenix had left and said solemnly, "I will definitely catch up to you." Long Fei looked at the bloody groove on the head of the Reaper and his heart trembled. He knew the Reaper wouldn't last long. Phoenix also sensed it. She suddenly stopped and said, "I want to go back." Long Fei heavily pulled her back, and said, "What can you do when you return?" "There's nothing you can do." That black-clothed man was clearly an invincible existence. If the Phoenix were to go, it would only be throwing its life away. Tears streamed down her face. "There's nothing I can do right now. So many people had died along the way. Why? Why?" Long Fei didn't know what she had experienced, nor did he know how she had comforted the girl. "Don't worry, in the future, I won't let anyone bully you anymore. There will be no more dead people around you." Long Fei held onto Phoenix's small hand, and walked into the dark alley step by step. "Did you find that kid?" "No. A bunch of trash." "Trash. They're all F*King trash. Gui's family." The more he thought about it, the more unhappy he became. When had he, Gui Taibao, ever been so angry before? The three moves were unable to even touch the corner of a person's clothes. Not only that, he even kneeled down and kowtowed to him. If this were to spread out, how could he, Gui Taibao, continue staying in the Neon City? "Do you still have the face to go to ancient antiquity?" After finding out that the Lin family did not accept Long Fei, he immediately sent people to search everywhere. However, the Neon City is so big, it's not that easy to find a person. After searching for most of the night, he still could not find Long Fei. Gui Taibao was furious. He grabbed one of the servants and slapped him. Useless thing. Find another one for me. At this moment, outside the hall, two people walked in. Patriarch of Gui's family, Gui Tianyi. The other one was the city lord of the Neon City, Wu Tianfeng. When Gui Taibao saw his father, he repressed his anger and immediately said respectfully, "Father." "Godfather." Gui Tianyi waved for everyone to leave. Wu Tianfeng said, "Taibao, you're too impatient." Gui Tianyi stared at him and said, "Do you think that not enough people know about this matter because you are searching like this? If the ancient antiquity were to know that you kneeled and kowtowed, even an outer disciple like yourself would be disqualified." Very angry, Gui Taibao's face sank, and said, "Father, I can't take this lying down." Wu Tianfeng said, "Endure it for a few days first." Gui Taibao said, he might be leaving the Neon City in a few days. He wouldn't be able to tolerate it for even a moment. "I want to grab Long Fei immediately, make him kneel on the ground, kowtow and admit his mistake, then kill him." Wu Tianfeng said, "I am the city lord of Neon City, whoever I want to keep here will have to stay." There was still a small force of influence. He was the mayor, after all. He could not stop the other powerhouse of the divine immortal stage, but for people like Long Fei who had no cultivation, and only knew a little of the steps, he would not put them in his eyes. When he thought about how Wu Tianfeng was the city master, Gui Taibao did not give up and said, "Godfather, why don't you just give him a wanted poster and have your people go wanted?" Gui Tianyi immediately scolded, "Nonsense, you think the wanted person is a wanted person? Even if they are wanted, do you think that the Lin clan will hand it over?" Gui Taibao was startled, and said, "Didn't the Lin family not let that brat in? Could it be? Was it purposely put on for us to see?" Gui Tianyi said, "I said you have no brains, you really have no brains. Do you think that the sudden appearance of someone we have never seen before in the Lin family's back mountain has nothing to do with the Lin family? Lin Yuantu, that old cunning fox, is best at acting. On the surface, he doesn't want that boy to enter the Lin family, but he has already been treated as a guest of honor behind his back." Gui Taibao reacted and said solemnly, "I told you that if you could search all over half of the Neon City, you wouldn't be able to find that brat. Lin Yuantu, you old thing." Wu Tianfeng said indifferently, "Supreme Guard, don't worry about that for now. 3 days later is the Neon City's large competition." The competition between the various great clans in Neon City seemed to be a simple exchange of pointers, but it contained the year ahead where territories would be divided. The competition between the various great clans in Neon City seemed to be a simple exchange of pointers, but it contained the year ahead where territories would be divided. The better your grade, the more land you'll get. All these years, Gui's family had always been ranked first. He was also the strongest patriarch within the Neon City, and this year, Gui Taibao had even obtained the qualifications to become an outer disciple of the ancient antiquity, so he had to win it no matter what. However, Gui Taibao's heart sank as he said, "Father, Godfather, if that brat's steps are really..." He had a shadow in his heart of Long Fei's walk like a snake. 3 powerful sword moves were not even able to touch the corner of his clothes, which greatly affected Gui Taibao's heart. If Lin Shuang'er could learn the walk like a snake, then he... Gui Tianyi said with a heavy voice, "Something that has no future, to actually be defeated once, and cause mental trauma? How can you become a powerhouse with such a temperament?" Wu Tianfeng stopped Gui Tianyi from reprimanding him, and said, "Taibao, don't worry, I came today precisely for this matter. I've already spent money to hire a big sword sect disciple. He should be arriving by tomorrow morning. Follow him for these 3 days and cultivate behind closed doors. At that time, forget about walk like snakeskin. Even if you move in the dragon form, you will still die under your sword." What was the level of the big sword sect? The ancient world was based on a warrior. From the moment one started cultivating in the martial disciple realm, one would start training in the apprentice, swordsman, big swordsman, sword sect, big sword sect, sword saint, sword immortal, king swordsman, and sword emperor, with a total of 10 realms, each with 9 realms. All sorts of cultivators in ancient world cultivate to the same level. Strength cultivator, also known as a fighter, apprentice strength practitioner, strength user, 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 strength emperor, strength user. Big Sword Sect could be considered as the pinnacle existence of powerhouse in the Neon City. Moreover, in the eyes of the Big Sword Sect, every movement was akin to naught. A single sword strike had broken through 10,000 steps, making the Big Sword Sect extremely powerful. As long as he could obtain the inheritance of the Big Sword Sect, he would definitely advance by leaps and bounds. At the very least, dealing with ordinary movements was not a problem. Hearing that, Gui Tiany's eyes slightly moved, and immediately said, "Senior brother has thought it through. Hurry up and thank your godfather." Gui Taibao's eyes also released a gold light as he said, "Thank you, godfather." Wu Tianfeng laughed heartily and said, "For you to be able to become a disciple of the ancient antiquity would also bring honor to the Neon City. As a godfather, naturally, I won't let anyone obstruct your path. The Big Sword Sect that we invited this time is not ordinary. They are the elders from the Heaven Illumination Sect. You have to make good use of this opportunity." Gui Taibao immediately nodded and said, "I will definitely live up to father's expectations, and will definitely crush all the families on that day of the large competition." Wu Tianfeng laughed with satisfaction, and said, "Then that's good." Gui Tianyi also laughed. "When the time comes, let's start with the Lin family." Wu Tianfeng said, "Junior brother, I heard that the Lin family's output from the mines has increased greatly. They must be preparing for the competition for the territories next year. Lin Yuantu is truly ambitious." Gui Tianyi laughed. "Don't worry, senior brother, no matter how much yield he has, it will be useless. I will not take his ore is just like a stone, it's not worth a single cent. I want to let Lin Yuantu know that the life of his Lin family is in my hand." Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The three of them laughed. Long Fei curled up in the depths of the alley with the phoenix. The two of them leaned against each other. It was unknown if it was because Phoenix was too tired, or because she was very at ease while leaning on Long Fei's shoulder, but she actually fell into a deep sleep. Long Fei did not dare move, afraid that he would wake her up. Looking at the night sky, he thought about what had happened in the ancient world a few days ago. Long Fei felt his scalp go numb. He had come to ancient world to dry out the rest of the Emperor Xian, but the gravity here was beyond his endurance. If he walked fast enough, he would feel short of breath, let alone run. In this kind of situation, even if he met the Emperor Xian, he would be beaten to death. Then again, the ancient world was much more complicated than he had imagined. It seemed like an extremely weak old man, who seemed like he could not withstand the wind, had suddenly turned into an incomparably savage violent bear. And then there was the little girl beside him. The first time Long Fei saw her, he felt that she was very special. The scene that happened in the academy. He didn't want to get involved, but now he was involved. He had to bring this girl along to escape the chase. However, this ancient world, what should he do? Where is the Phoenix Valley? Dragon Vein Mountain was 180 billion kilometers away from here. He still hadn't found the God-living mountain anywhere yet. The gigantic ancient world made Long Fei feel a sense of hesitation, and he was unable to find the direction right away. Not to mention the position of the Emperor Xian's huff. Long Fei exhaled a long breath and muttered, "I'll see what happens next. The most important thing right now is to protect her. With my current body, I definitely can't compare to speed. We have to be smart." Long Fei calculated in his heart what he should do next. Looking at the ice crystal clothes on Phoenix's body, he said, "These clothes are too eye-catching, I have to change. This looks is too stunning. I have to change it. The aura on her body. I have to find a way to hide myself." He didn't know why. Being supported by the little girl on his shoulder made his heart strangely calm. Although the black-clothed man was strong, he did not have any thoughts of abandoning the little girl. In fact, he had never even thought about it. It was as if he owed this little girl in his previous life. He had to protect her for the rest of his life. Don't Don't leave me. No, Grandfather Master Shen, don't die, don't. As Phoenix spoke in her dreams, her eyebrows relaxed. Looking at her would cause anyone's heart to ache. Young Master, where are you? I missed you. I really miss you so much. Another wave of nonsense. Long Fei looked at her with a heartbroken heart. This kind of angel-like girl should not have any worries, she should just live a happy life every day. Long Fei looked at her and muttered, "Don't worry, from today onwards, I will take care of you." It was unknown whether it was because she heard Long Fei's words in her dreams or because she was worried that Long Fei would leave him, but her hands were tightly holding onto Long Fei's arms. Long Fei laughed, "Silly girl." Right. Long Fei thought about how he had been given a black scroll by the attic guard before his transformation. Along the way, he didn't have the time to look at it, nor did he know what it was important to look at. Following that, Long Fei took out the scroll and gently opened it. The scroll was blank, with nothing on it. Strange. Why did you give me a piece of white paper? No reason. According to the storyline in the movie, this is either a treasure map or a supreme skill. How can it be a blank sheet of paper? Long Fei could not understand. Could it be that the way he opened it was wrong? After changing several ways of opening it, it was still the same, a piece of white paper. You're not going to use my blood, are you? Your father's blood is so precious, how can it be used carelessly? Long Fei was lucky for a moment, but he managed to condense a drop of blood and dropped it. Spirit blood landed on the scroll. In an instant, the scroll suddenly changed. Spirit blood said as the scroll began to tremble. Spirit blood said as the scroll began to tremble. A divine light burst forth from the scroll. Streaks of golden light shot out. Long Fei was completely dumbfounded. Damn, the novels from my previous life were not read in vain. Blood is truly omnipotent. There is no drop of it that spirit blood can't solve when we obtain the treasure. If there is, there are 2 drops. When spirit blood undid the seal, he was slightly nervous. Normally speaking, this scroll was a treasure. In addition, their levels were extremely high. Long Fei looked at the golden light that was being released from the scroll and asked excitedly, "What kind of treasure is it?" He gently touched it with his hand. Buzz. In a split second, Long Fei was sucked into the scroll. Huh? What is going on? In front of Long Fei was an extremely special world. In this world, there were 8 incomparably large doors. This made Long Fei think of the Hall of Eternal Life. Could it be that this is another Hall of Eternal Life instance dungeon? Can't be. Long Fei looked at the 8 big doors. The outside of the doors were all similar, all made of ancient stones, only the carving in the middle of each door was different. A sword. A single attack. What is a sphere? Pills? Or is it a stone? A hammer? A formation? A beast? A talisman? What does this last one mean? A dragon? A single dragon? Long Fei did not understand. If the first part was easy to understand, then he really did not understand the last part. This scroll contains a world like this. What is this world called? Long Fei said to himself. At this moment, the system suddenly made a sound. Ding. System notification. Welcome player Long Fei to the refined space. When Long Fei heard the system beep, he thought that the system girl had woken up. He immediately opened the system and realized that it was not the case. Unable to ask the system, he could only open up the system to check the properties of the refined space. Refined space. A place to provide special training for the players. Every single space has its own training method. Sword as a swordsman, strength as a warrior, pills as a danmaker, formations as a spellmaster, talismans as a spellmaster, hammers as a toolmaster, beasts as a beastmaster, and dragons as a dragon? Heh! Long Fei did not understand. Why is there a question mark after the dragon? An existence that even the system could not explain. Damn, is it really that amazing? He continued to check. Every time a player breaks through a level in refined space, they would receive a reward. Every time a player breaks through a level here, the real world would also experience a breakthrough. The corresponding time here is 10, 1 in real life. It's only been 1 day outside. 10 days here? Long Fei said, so that's the same as giving me 10 times more time to cultivate. Every single level has a reward. Holy **T. System, are you asking me to give up on the killing and upgrading system? Long Fei did not upgrade his system after entering the ancient world. It was still the killing and upgrading system. Killing one would give you the cultivation base of your opponent. This method of leveling up felt good, but, however, there is a fatal flaw. You can only go up. If you can't kill someone of a higher level, then your level will always stay at that level and you won't be able to break through because of your cultivation. Then again, this level of killing seemed very good, but in reality, it was a bit empty. It was like a pavilion in the air. Kill God and become God, but what about your foundation? As time passed, one step at a time, his or her experiences would become extremely hollow, which was not a good thing for cultivators. Of course, killing players was the fastest way to level up. There was no doubt about it. However, if one wanted to obtain the system rewards in refined space, they had to cultivate in here. He continued to read. 8 stages, corresponding to 8 jobs in ancient world. Every time a player breaks through a level, they will receive a reward. When a player suddenly breaks through a new level, the system will activate the setting up of the instance dungeon. After completing the instance dungeon, you will be able to obtain a corresponding piece of divine equipment. Rub. System, you sure have a lot of tricks up your sleeves. To actually set up an instance dungeon, hehe. Is this letting me live more comfortably? Long Fei became excited. An instance dungeon only has 1 chance. If you fail, you will not get the reward. 1 time is 1 time. I'm a professional gamer, 1 time is enough. Long Fei had his own unique understanding of games. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to live so many years by playing games. This was under the circumstance that he was not serious. If he were to focus on a game, he would have already become a pro and wouldn't have to think about transmigration. Ding. Do you want to try cultivating it? Long Fei stretched his hands and feet, and with a firm voice, he said, let's try. The sword school. Following the movement of Long Fei's idea, the gigantic sword door slowly opened and a ray of light enveloped Long Fei. In that instant, he was right in the middle of the sword door. At the same time, an iron sword floated in front of him. Long Fei held it out with one hand. Buzz. The iron sword trembled and directly deflected Long Fei's hand. Long Fei's palm felt numb as he muttered, damn, it's only an iron sword, do you still have a temper? Long Fei clenched his fist once again. This time, his strength increased. Buzz. Buzz. The iron sword vibrated a few times. Once again shaking off Long Fei's hand, she quietly floated in front of Long Fei. The more powerful Long Fei's palm was, the stronger it would be, and the stronger it would be. Looking at the somewhat proud-looking iron sword, Long Fei was displeased, and at the same time, he started to carefully observe his surroundings. There was nothing in the entire space around the sword school. It was a sword. To hold the sword twice in a row without succeeding, does that mean I have to practice at least when holding the sword? Long Fei muttered. He calmed down and let out a light breath. He had cultivated the sword before. He had practiced all sorts of powerful sword moves before, such as the myriad swords return to the sect, the sword art of the swordmaster, the nameless sword art, the Feng Qingyang sword art. He had even trained in a series of powerhouse sword techniques. He even trained with the elder swordsman. But here, ancient world, in the sword sect space that he currently resided in, everything he cultivated in the past was empty. It was completely useless here, completely useless. Everything had to start from the beginning. All right, if you want me to start from the beginning, then I'll start from the beginning. As long as you can make me stronger, as long as you can get me the system's reward, I don't mind starting from level 0. Long Fei's mind was firm. He had experienced so many planes. He was now level 1. If he wanted to become a swordsman, he would have to start from wielding a sword. Who? Long Fei exhaled lightly, then bowed towards the iron sword, and said indifferently, I'm here. His mind stirred. He held the sword in his hand. The heart was one with the sword. In that instant. System beep. Ding. 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 The system sounded out. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Fighter 2 Dan. Holy sh *T. So fast. This is faster than killing to level up. Without doing anything, he just lightly grasped his sword and leveled up. Long Fei suddenly felt that it was too easy. There was nothing clearer than leveling up. If word of this spread, no one would believe it. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. The reward for leveling up is basic sword art. Do you wish to cultivate it? Cultivate. No matter what skill it is, as long as it's a system reward, you must train in it, because it might affect the quest or the instance dungeon later on. Long Fei was very careful. The system was now like a ghost, even if it was a rotten street skill, he still had to train in it. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for training basic sword art. Skills, basic sword art level 1 proficiency, 0-100 consumption, 0 description. The basic sword art is divided into 10 levels. Each level can increase the success of the sword skills. As expected. Long Fei secretly thought, luckily I didn't give up cultivating, otherwise I would have suffered a huge loss. After leveling up, Long Fei held onto the iron sword. Swordsmanship, what one trained in was the sword. At the same time, he had also cultivated the heart. Just from the moment when Long Fei had completed the breakthrough in his mental state and mental state, he could see that mental state training was as important as sword cultivation. Long Fei was not in a hurry, he took things one step at a time. He only had one thing to do to survive in the ancient world. Become stronger. Although he had the trump card of the ancient dragon body, Long Fei's own strength had to be raised. One sword, one heart. Long Fei's heart comprehended the Tao, and he comprehended the sword moves. 5 hours passed. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Fighter 3. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. You have obtained the Iron Sword as a reward. The iron sword in Long Fei's hand became his own sword. Continue. As he continued to cultivate in the refined space, his body in the real world also continued to improve. The gravity that he could feel in the ancient world would lessen, which was the benefit of leveling up. From 1 hour to 5:30 more hours. Long Fei's cultivation made another breakthrough. Only 3 hours had passed in the real world. Moreover, Long Fei had never trained like this before, he had always relied on killing monsters to level up, but now, he was using his own comprehension and cultivation to level up. This feeling was very special to him. Time passed by second. In the Lin clan's backyard. Humph. No one can trap me. Lin Shuang'er turned into the backyard, seeing that there was no one around, she immediately jumped into a flower bush, where there was a dog hole at the bottom of the wall. Lin Shuang'er looked at the dog hole and hesitated. For the snake skin, I am giving it my all, I want to shake the entire Neon City, I want to beat Gui Taibao into a pulp, I want to recover my freedom. Master. No, it should be my servant. He. She didn't care. He directly drilled out of the dog hole. Ever since she had returned to the Lin clan residence, she had been placed under house arrest. She had quarreled with Lin Yuantu over Long Fei, and she described him as a god or immortal. But her father didn't take it seriously at all. He also didn't want to reason with her, and didn't want Long Fei to enter, and didn't want her to leave either. There was no other way. Father didn't understand her, so he endured. Even if the world didn't understand her, she didn't care. What she believed must be done. Walk like snakeskin, I'm here. Lin Shuang'er crawled out of the dog hole. Looking at the pitch-black place, she was a little afraid. He clenched his fists and said solemnly, Lin Shuang'er, for the sake of my future happiness, there is nothing to fear in the dark night. As long as you cultivate the walk like snakeskin, you will be the big sister and boss of the Neon City. Early morning. In the Lin residence. Old master, it's bad. Miss, she's gone. A servant girl hurriedly ran into Lin Yuantu's courtyard. Lin Yuantu frowned. What are you guys doing? You can't even look at a single person? The servant immediately lowered her head, not daring to speak. Lin Yuantu swept his sleeve and said with a heavy tone, Go down, send someone to look for him immediately. At this time, Lin Fenglei also walked in hurriedly, and when he saw the servant girl quickly walk out with her head lowered, he said, Shuang'er ran away again, right? Lin Yuantu said solemnly, her personality is just like her mother. She is very wild, and won't allow people to be at ease for even a moment. All three, what are you doing here so early? Lin Fenglei immediately said, Big brother, Gui's family suddenly announced this morning that he will not be buying our oars. What? Lin Yuantu's eyes tensed up, his expression turning serious. How can this be? Why didn't you accept our oar? Lin Yuantu was very clear that the mines were the core of the Lin family's properties and all the oars they sold to the Gui's family for all these years. Lin Yuantu had always wanted to get rid of this situation and increase his production so that he could prepare for next year. At this critical juncture, the fact that the Gui's family suddenly did not purchase his oar was extremely fatal for the Lin family. One had to know that in order to increase the production rate, the Lin clan had paid an enormous price. If Gui's family did not want the oar, the Lin family would face bankruptcy. The situation became even more serious. Lin Fenglei replied, I don't know either. Lin Yuantu asked, Have you gone to the Gui residence yet? Lin Fenglei said, I went over, but Gui Tianyi didn't even see me. Brother, could it be that it has something to do with Gui Taibao being injured in our residence yesterday? Lin Yuantu's brows tightened, and said, Did you send the thing I asked you to gift yesterday? Lin Fenglei said, I sent it, and moreover, I personally received it from Gui Taibao. He also expressed his understanding, however. Why did it become like this all of a sudden? The output at the mine is still increasing. If Gui's family doesn't want our oar, within half a month, we will be bankrupt. What should we do now? Lin Fenglei said anxiously. Lin Yuantu said, I will personally pay a visit to the Gui residence. No. Find Shuang'er and have her accompany me to the Gui mansion to apologize. Lin Fenglei slightly said, Big brother, this isn't very good for Shuang'er, is it? You know Shuang'er's temper, she will definitely not lower her head to Gui Taibao. Lin Yuantu said angrily, I can't leave her alone. For the sake of the Lin family, I have no other choice. Lin Fenglei wanted to say something, but held back in the end. In the alley, the phoenix curled its body and leaned against Long Fei's body. Long Fei sat cross-legged, and was still meditating in the sword-sect space. However, Lin Shuang'er stood in front of them, hands on his waist, and said angrily, All right, you old scoundrel, we haven't seen each other for one night, yet you want to hook up with such a little demoness. Where did you put me? It was also at this time. Phoenix's eyes suddenly opened wide. A trace of light flashed in his eyes. The eyes of the phoenix. At the same time, the system beeped in his mind. Ding. System notification. Feeling the danger of great power. When the Real Face felt the threat of a strong power, the system would inform him immediately. When the Real Face felt the threat of a strong power, the system would inform him immediately. Inside the sword door space, Long Fei's heart shook. He thought that the black-clothed man had rushed over yesterday, and the idea moved, let's go. The idea withdrew. Returning to his physical body, he opened his eyes, but did not see the man in black. But he could still sense the powerful, dangerous energy. Lin Shuang'er and Phoenix stared deadly at each other. It was as if his eyes wanted to devour the other. Who is she? Lin Shuang'er's voice was filled with anger as he stared at Long Fei. Long Fei was stunned for a moment, his palms breaking out in cold sweat, as he truly thought that the black-clothed powerhouse had come. Phoenix hugged onto Long Fei's arm tightly and asked, Who is this auntie? Auntie? You actually called me auntie. I. Lin Shuang'er was so angry that smoke was coming out from his head, and the killing intent in his eyes became even stronger. Who is this little girl? She. Long Fei turned to look at Phoenix, and said, She is. Phoenix's face was filled with pride as she said, I am his wife. May I ask who are you, auntie? This mouth was really not ordinary. Young wife. This time, Lin Shuang'er was even more shocked than before. He stared at Long Fei and said, Old rogue, where did you fool this little girl that I didn't see her for one night? Phoenix angrily said, Why are you scolding my husband? Auntie, you're very funny. Who are you? Long Fei was also stunned. He really did not expect Phoenix's mouth to be so sharp. At such a young age, quarreling was first class. With the little girl's personality, Lin Shuang'er could not handle it either. He could only stare and stomp his feet. He was extremely infuriated. Phoenix had a complacent expression as she tightly held Long Fei's hand. Lin Shuang'er stared at Long Fei and said, You, get over here right now. If she couldn't deal with Phoenix, she could only vent on Long Fei. Phoenix pulled Long Fei and said, Hubby, don't go over there. Humph. He stared at Lin Shuang'er with an incomparable gaze. Auntie, he's my husband. What right do you have to send my husband over? Lin Shuang'er was about to go crazy from anger, and said, Didn't you agree to teach me walk like snakeskin? As long as you teach me, I won't care if you hook up with a little girl. There's more. Don't think I'll forgive you just because you helped me yesterday. Phoenix asked, Hubby, what happened yesterday? Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, Lin Shuang'er's eyes moved, and said complacently, Yesterday, he kissed me, and he even pressed on my body. Phoenix was stunned. Lin Shuang'er felt like he had gotten back a city, and said, That is my first kiss. To snatch my first kiss just like that, do you still want to be irresponsible now? My dad said not to kiss a boy because he's going to get pregnant. What if I get pregnant now? Are you not going to take responsibility? Long Fei was foolish, and said, You must be mistaken, it was clearly you who pressed down on my body. Moreover, how come I've never heard of a pregnancy by kissing? Lin Shuang'er said, They just get pregnant, yeah. I feel like I'm not feeling well. I think I'm pregnant. Long Fei. He was immediately speechless. Of course he knew that kissing his lips would not result in pregnancy, and Lin Shuang'er knew it as well. Phoenix did not know. Looking at Long Fei, then at Lin Shuang'er, she felt that she had lost. Elder sister, are you really pregnant with my husband's child? Phoenix's face suddenly turned serious. Lin Shuang'er looked at Phoenix's serious expression and she began to feel proud in her heart. She said, I'm afraid, he has no conscience, and, he actually doesn't want me anymore. Long Fei didn't know what to say, he was completely speechless. Was there such an operation? You can get pregnant with just a kiss. Long Fei said, Don't listen to his nonsense, kissing your mouth won't get you pregnant. Phoenix asked, Have you kissed her before? Long Fei said, Count it in. Phoenix said, Then elder sister might be pregnant. Long Fei. Suddenly, he realized that not only was the little girl in front of him pretty, she was also very innocent and cute. She pretended to look wronged and said, He is an old rogue, he does not want to be responsible. Phoenix said, Hubby, you can't do this. No matter what, you still have to take responsibility. You're a real man. Big sister, don't worry, just don't worry and be born. My husband is irresponsible, I'll take responsibility on his behalf. Phoenix released Long Fei's hand and said with an angry look, I didn't think you were this kind of person. Humph. Long Fei said, I. Phoenix said, Don't say anything. You don't have the right to speak here. Phoenix walked in front of Lin Shuang'er, supported her, and cordially said, Elder sister, if he dares to bully you again, I will definitely not forgive him. From today onwards, you will be the big one and I the small one. Then it's decided. What Phoenix said did not matter. Lin Shuang'er's face reddened, and she tried her best to restrain it. How could she not be able to hold on in front of a little girl? Long Fei said with a depressed face, What do you mean by happily deciding just like that? Phoenix said, I already said, don't say anything. Lin Shuang'er said, Right, don't talk. Little sister, we'll do as you say. Phoenix giggled. In just a few minutes, the two of them had turned from enemies to comrades in the same trenches. Women are fickle. Phoenix said, Elder sister, what did you want your husband to teach you just now? Walk like snakeskin? Lin Shuang'er nodded, and said, there are still 2 days before the competition. If I lose, I want to marry Gui Taibao. I don't like him at all, I don't want to marry him. Phoenix immediately looked at Long Fei and asked, hubby, you heard it? Long Fei said, what did you hear? I don't care who she marries. Phoenix's eyes widened. You are a man. How can you let a woman who bears your child marry another man? Teach him. Sister, what do you want to learn? Lin Shuang'er replied, walk like snakeskin. Long Fei asked, is the walk like a snake not good enough? Phoenix said, it's more or less the same. Teach her. Lin Shuang'er laughed, I knew it. Long Fei was so depressed that he couldn't speak. However, what happened last night was still fresh in his mind. The black-clothed man was too strong, and with his current cultivation, he could not withstand it at all. If he wanted to avoid being hunted down, he had to hide. The black-clothed men would definitely think that if they left Neon City, it would be very safe for them. The more time he had, the higher his cultivation, the stronger his ancient dragon body would become, and at that time, he would not have to worry. Long Fei said softly, all right, I'll teach. However, we should at least find a place. We can't teach here, right? It was also at this time. Lin Fenglei landed and said, how about we go to the Lin Palace to teach? Third uncle. Third uncle. Lin Shuang'er was shocked. He quickly walked to Long Fei's side and revealed a look of weakness and fear. Lin Fenglei looked at Lin Shuang'er and said, your father told you to go back. Lin Shuang'er shook his head, I'm not going back. She knew she wouldn't be able to get out when she got back. Moreover, her father wouldn't agree to her training with a stranger, even if he could win against Gui Taibao, he wouldn't let her win. Lin Yuantu's world only contained the Lin family, and the existence of her daughter was not present at all. The death of his mother that year was something that Lin Shuang'er never forget. Towards this father, Lin Shuang'er felt a bit of resentment in her heart, so she wanted to break free from her father's control and dictate her own fate. As long as she could defeat Gui Taibao, she wouldn't have to marry, she would be free. It was her father's promise. Lin Fenglei could also tell that Lin Shuang'er was afraid of being locked up, and said, third uncle promises you, he will definitely not lock you up this time. Not only will it not lock you up, your father also agreed that you should bring your friend back to the Lin clan. Lin Shuang'er's eyes lit up, really? Lin Fenglei said, how could third uncle lie to you? He looked at Long Fei and said, we lost yesterday, I hope so won't take offense to it. Long Fei laughed. Phoenix transmitted her voice. His lying. Long Fei naturally saw through it. Unless something happened in a day's time, it was impossible for the situation to change so quickly. The Lin clan would either face some sort of crisis, or the Lin clan would seek to deal with him. However, no matter which one, Long Fei did not have a choice. The man in black was definitely looking for Phoenix everywhere. The outfit that Phoenix was wearing was too eye-catching. He had to change it. Right now, the Lin residence was the best choice. Long Fei looked at Lin Shuang'er and said, since third uncle is so sincere, then let's go. Lin Shuang'er said, you agreed. Long Fei laughed, you are already pregnant with my child, how can I not agree? Hearing that, Lin Fenglei stared at Long Fei and asked, what did you say just now? Lin Shuang'er's cheeks flushed red, she immediately pulled Lin Fenglei and said, nothing, nothing, he was just joking. Third uncle, did my father really agree to it? Lin Fenglei replied, but, I need you to follow him to the Gui mansion. Lin Shuang'er clenched his teeth and said, okay, I will go with him. As long as Long Fei could enter the Lin clan and learn the snakeskin steps, she would endure. Lin Fenglei's heart trembled slightly. He did not think that Lin Shuang'er would actually agree to go to the Gui palace. He glanced at Long Fei from the corner of his eyes and thought to himself, it looks like this boy has quite a high position in Shuang'er's heart. Immediately, the four of them went to the Lin residence. Not through the front door. Although he was very rude to Long Fei, this was what Long Fei wanted as well. He was fine with it, but the key was the phoenix, preventing anyone from seeing him. They entered the Lin residence. Lin Fenglei first brought Long Fei and Phoenix to a remote courtyard. Lin Shuang'er said, "You guys rest here for a while, I'll be back soon." And then he followed Lin Fenglei to his father's courtyard. After they left, there were immediately a few Lin family disciples standing guard at the courtyard entrance. Evidently, Long Fei had been placed under house arrest. The reason why Lin Fenglei brought Long Fei back to the Lin clan residence was because he was prepared both hands. If Long Fei really had real ability and was a hidden expert, he could definitely help the Lin clan. And then again, if the Gui residents needed Long Fei to personally apologize to Gui Taibao, the Lin residents would not be in such a hurry to find him. Lin Fenglei thought over everything thoroughly. "Dad, I'm back." Lin Shuang'er walked into the courtyard happily. Lin Yuantu's eyes darkened, he glared at Lin Shuang'er, shouted, and said, "You still know how to come back?" Lin Shuang'er's happy expression instantly disappeared as he said angrily, "If you don't want me to return, then I won't be." He was about to leave the yard. Lin Yuantu said heavily, "If you dare to take even half a step out of this courtyard, then you will never come back." He was also furious. There were too many ores in the mine and the Lin family invested a lot of money into it. Gui's family suddenly stopped purchasing and this made him, as the patriarch, to be in a hurry. Lin Shuang'er's temper was also tough, and he said, "If you're not coming back, then you're not coming back, I don't really want you to come back anymore." As he spoke, he was about to leave the courtyard. Immediately pulled her back, saying, Shuang'er, your father is already so angry, don't be like this. Big brother, you too. It's so easy for me to get Shuang'er back. Why don't you take her to the Gui mansion?" Lin Fenglei kept looking at him. Lin Yuantu suppressed his anger and said solemnly, "You agree to follow me to the Gui mansion?" He did not know what Lin Fenglei promised Shuang'er. He felt a little astonished at this. Lin Shuang'er continued, "As long as father agrees to let that man stay, I will agree to follow you to the Gui mansion." "Who is that man?" Lin Yuantu asked, and suddenly thought of something. Yi Zichen opened his eyes again. Lin Fenglei hurriedly shook his head, walked to Lin Yuantu's side and said in a low voice, "Big brother, his presence in the Lin palace is very useful to us. It doesn't matter if you enter or retreat. It's all useful. First take Shuang'er to the Gui mansion and investigate the situation there. Afterwards, we'll think of a way to deal with it." Lin Yuantu nodded, he walked to Lin Shuang'er and said, "Go and prepare, I have asked them to buy new clothes for you, dress up more beautifully." Lin Shuang'er replied, "Oh." She did not resist. Right now, she just wanted to return back to the Gui palace quickly and practice the snakeskin steps with Long Fei. Half an hour later, Lin Shuang'er was as if a new person, dressed like a little fairy. Lin Yuantu was slightly satisfied, but his heart was full of guilt, and his heart was filled with resentment. The Lin clan needed him to use his daughter to resolve the crisis, so he felt very uncomfortable in his heart. He was a father, how could he bear to make a deal with his daughter? However, for the sake of the clan, he had no other choice. Sigh. Lin Yuantu let out a long sigh in his heart. In a remote courtyard, Long Fei took out a set of relatively plain clothes and said, "Phoenix, your clothes are too eye-catching. If you walk towards that place, you will become the focus of attention, and you will be discovered immediately. We need to change our appearances, only then will we be able to avoid being hunted down." Phoenix suddenly thought of Master Xian, her tears dripping down, "Grandpa Master Xian. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. Grandpa Master Xian, I missed you so much." Long Fei secretly clenched his fists. If he was strong, he wouldn't need to be like Phoenix. Strength. 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 Not strong enough. Looking at Long Fei's gloomy expression, Phoenix took the clothes and said, "I'll go change." Hugging onto his clothes while crying, he walked into the room, causing Long Fei's heart to ache. When Phoenix entered the room to change clothes, Long Fei turned around and walked into the courtyard. He had to make the best use of his time to cultivate. One more level to go. I'll be able to break through to the next level. Then, I'll be able to enter the instance dungeon set up by the system. Fighter 9 Dan. Fighter 9 Dan. He was one step away from becoming a apprentice. Level was secondary. The most crucial part was that a level 10 bottleneck could allow one to enter the reward instance dungeon set up by the system. What was in it? The instance dungeon set up by the system itself was definitely not simple. Naturally, the reward wouldn't be bad. Buzz. Long Fei stood in front of the 8 spatial doors, walked towards the space inside the sword sect, and stepped into the distance as he looked at the dragon-shaped space. What exactly is inside? Long Fei had a feeling. The scroll given to him by the attic guard originally contained a space, so it should be this dragon-shaped space. The system changed. The other 7 spaces appeared. What was in the space of the seal? I don't know. However, Long Fei did not plan to enter. He had no time to waste right now, so he would first bring up the level increase in the sword gate. Buzz. Long Fei entered the space. The iron sword floated in front of him, and Long Fei casually caught it, then moved. Let's begin. With a movement of the sword, he began to train. At the Gui mansion. In the hall, Gui Tianyi crossed his legs and drank tea as he glanced at the present Lin Yuantu had brought along with him. He then sat by the side with an absent-minded Lin Shuang'er, as a cold intent flashed across his eyes. He sounded weird. Lin Yuantu tolerated it and said, "Big brother Gui, it's been a long time since I've come to see you. Just look at how our Lin and Gui families are about to become relatives." Family? Gui Tianyi shot a glance at Lin Shuang'er, and said, "I'm afraid your daughter has never placed my son in her eyes, right? Otherwise, why would they join an outsider to deal with my son? They would kneel and kowtow. They are treating my son as a fool." Lin Yuantu frowned and said, "I came here because of this matter too. That person who bullied the Supreme Protector has nothing to do with our Lin clan. I have also sent many people to search for him. If they find him, we will make him kneel down and apologize to us." Lin Shuang'er spoke up for Long Fei, "It's Gui Taibao who is useless. If you lose the bet, how can you blame others?" Lin Yuantu stared at him, and said loudly, "Shut up." Lin Shuang'er opened his mouth and snorted coldly. Gui Tianyi was very unhappy, and said, "Even if the Taibao lost, compared to sparring, losing and winning is a very normal thing. But as the Taibao's fiancé, shouldn't you protect the Taibao? What were you doing? Where were you cheering for me? You couldn't have stepped forward and stepped on the head of the Imperial Protector, right? Do you know what I hate the most?" Gui Tianyi squinted. The air was cold. Lin Yuantu said, "The reason I brought my little girl here today is to apologize to the Great Protector. It's all my fault for pampering her too much. Big brother Gui, Shuang'er is still just a child, so please take more responsibility. We'll be family in a few days." For the Lin family, Lin Yuantu was humble. He knew. Gui Tianyi held his Lin family's little life in his hands. However, Lin Shuang'er did not know. Lin Shuang'er said with a face full of anger, "I don't want to become his family. I will definitely win against Gui Taibao in the competition 2 days later. I don't want to marry him. How dare you?" Lin Yuantu bellowed, his eyes blazing with fire as he waited for Lin Shuang'er. Lin Shuang'er was also shocked. He had never seen his father so angry. The corners of Gui Tianyi's eyes twitched slightly, and she said coldly, "Brother Lin, you also heard what your daughter said." Lin Yuantu said, "I will definitely teach her a good lesson when I return. She is too young, big brother Gui, you better not lower yourself to her level." Now, he regretted bringing Lin Shuang'er over. His daughter's character was the same as her mother's. Gui Tianyi sneered, stood up, and said to Lin Shuang'er, "There are still 2 days until the competition. Don't worry, not only will you not win against the Taibao, you might even die on the stage. Even if you don't die, even if the Taibao will marry you, I can guarantee to you that my Gui's family will make your life worse than mine." A dog. Say it in front of Lin Yuantu. This was not giving Lin Yuantu any face at all. Lin Yuantu was also furious, his fists clenched tightly. Gui Tianyi smiled faintly, and said, "The marriage agreement was already set long ago. Even if you all ran away, you would not be able to escape. Brother Lin, you know the consequences. As for your family's mine." Suppressing the rage in his heart, Lin Yuantu stood up as well, his eyes filled with hope. He swallowed his saliva, feeling as if his throat had been grabbed by Gui Tianyi. Gui Tianyi looked at Lin Yuantu's nervous expression and said, "My Gui's family doesn't need your Lin family's mines." Lin Yuantu felt as if he had fallen into an abyss, and immediately said, "Big brother Gui, is it that our Lin family's mines cannot meet your requirements? We can also improve the quality of the mines a little, and in the entire Neon City, our Lin family's mines are the best. Do you want to consider it a little more? Big brother Gui, you should also know that the Tai Bai Jinxing likes Shuang'er. In the future, when our two families get married, the Neon City will be yours. Our Lin family's mines." He was already incoherent. Gui Tianyi said, "Are you begging me? If you're begging someone, you have to act like you're begging someone." Lin Yuantu said, "Big brother Gui, I beg of you, our Lin family's mines." Gui Tianyi sneered, "Kneel down and beg me. Maybe I will reconsider." He wanted to play with Lin Yuantu. Regarding the matter of his own son kneeling on the ground, his heart was always filled with rage. In Gui Tianyi's heart, Long Fei was the person Lin Yuantu had arranged for him. Lin Yuantu's forehead tightened, his hands tensed up as he relaxed. Seeing that, Lin Shuang'er said, "Father, don't." Plop. Lin Yuantu kneeled down heavily and said, "Big brother Gui, I beg you, please help me this time." For the sake of the Lin clan, he had no other choice. Gui Tianyi stared blankly for a moment. He did not think that Lin Yuantu would actually kneel down to him. The corners of his mouth turned cold as he said, "Is kneeling enough?" Lin Shuang'er pulled at his father tightly, wanting to pull him up, but he couldn't. Lin Shuang'er's tears also started dripping down, as she shook her head, "Father, father, don't. Lin Yuantu heavily knocked his head against the ground at Gui Tianyi's feet, and said, "Big brother Gui, I beg of you." Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Gui Tianyi loudly laughed at him. Lin Yuantu, Lin Yuantu, no matter what, you are still the Lin family's patriarch. I told you to kneel down, I told you to kowtow, I told you to kowtow, you are simply a dog. No. Even dogs can't compare to this, at least dogs can't kowtow so casually. Ha ha ha. Gui Tianyi laughed loudly. Lin Yuantu's eyes turned sinister as he said, "Gui Tianyi, are you playing with me?" Gui Tianyi sneered, "So what if I'm playing with you? I was just messing with you, what about it? Your big swordsman's cultivation is very powerful. Is your Lin family's strength that formidable? My Gui's family can squash you within seconds. To tell you the truth, not only will I not take your ore, I will also stop other families from buying your ore, and, after this year's large competition, I will also directly eat your Lin family's mines. At that time, it will be my Gui's family's mine. Do I need to spend money to buy it?" Ha ha ha. Lin Shuang'er's explosive temper rose, and without caring about all that, he directly attacked Gui Tianyi. The corners of Gui Tianyi's eyes turned cold, and he shouted, "You're courting death." Burst at close range. Burst at close range. With his realm right there, no matter how fast Lin Shuang'er's exploding speed was, it would still not be as fast as Gui Tianyi's. Moreover, Gui Tianyi was much faster than Lin Shuang'er. He himself was already displeased by Lin Shuang'er, but with this palm strike, he used a total of 8 levels of strength. The air vibrated. With an angry flip of his palm, he slashed towards Lin Shuang'er, snorting coldly, "You're courting death." With this palm, even if he didn't die, he would at least die. At this moment, Lin Yuantu suddenly moved, and with the same flip of his right palm, dense power was released out. His body blocked in front of Lin Shuang'er, and used his palm to meet the attack. Boom. The two palms connected. Gui Tianyi's body trembled slightly, and his heart sank, 8th level of the big swordsman. I didn't expect to break through another realm. Lin Yuantu retreated 3 steps, the blood in his chest was boiling, the stench of blood stinging the nose. However, Lin Yuantu swallowed it all down, swallowed the blood back and said in a deep voice, "Brother Gui, this child is not sensible, please do not take offense." As he spoke, he placed Lin Shuang'er behind him. It was also at this time. A group of people rushed out of Gui's family, and a few of them were all experts of big swordsmen. "Big brother, what happened?" Lin Yuantu, You actually dare to behave so atrociously in our gooey mansion? I think you must be tired of living. Lin Yuantu, are you trying to overturn the heavens? Big brother, should we make a move? Gui Tianyi laughed coldly, and said, Lin Yuantu, children aren't sensible. As their father, do you not understand as well? If you can't teach your daughter, I can do it for you. Lin Yuantu said, you don't need to worry about my daughter. A man from Gui's family shouted, Lin Yuantu, what tone do you have to talk to my big brother? Gui Tianyi waved his hand, and said, don't worry, even if you kneel you will still be on your knees, your head will still be on the ground. See the guests out. Big brother, are we just going to let him go like this? That's right. Big brother, he's already made his move on you. As long as you give the order, This was a perfect time. As long as he made a move. Lin Yuantu would never leave the Gui palace. However, Gui Tianyi knew that Lin Yuantu had already broken through to the 8th stage of Big Swordsman and his strength was not ordinary. Just now, when the palm struck down, he was also injured, and if things did not go well, he would have to pay a price to kill. Gui Tianyi said, let him go. Lin Yuantu pulled his daughter, and slowly and cautiously exited the hall. After that, he hurriedly walked out of the Gui palace. Big brother, why did you let him go? Anyways, I have nothing to do with Lin Yuantu, so I might as well just kill him. Exactly. Just now was the perfect opportunity. He hasn't gone far yet. We can still catch up. Gui Tianyi bellowed, Lin Yuantu's cultivation is already at the 8th stage of Big Swordsman. 8th grade Big Swordsman? How could this be? It has only been a year and he has already broken through. What incredible speed. Gui Tianyi squinted his eyes and said, that old fox Lin Yuantu has been training hard all this time, if not his cultivation would not have increased so fast. Now that we have cut off his economic lifeline, the Lin clan won't be able to hold on for long without a source of funding. At that time, we will slowly play with him until he dies. Gui Tianyi's pupils constricted, his eyes filled with killing intent. Phut! Lin Yuantu, who had just walked out of the Gui residence, quickly walked to an alley and confirmed that no one from the Gui residence had followed him. He could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood and his face immediately turned pale white. Lin Shuang'er was extremely frightened. She immediately supported her father and asked, Father, what's wrong? Lin Yuantu wiped away the blood from the corner of his mouth. Luckily I was able to scare Gui Tianyi, or else the consequences would be. His cultivation had not broken through. Just a moment ago, he had forcefully used his profound qi to increase his strength, pretending to be an 8th stage Big Swordsman. If he did not shock Gui Tianyi, he would not be able to come out today. Lin Yuantu replied, I'm fine. Lin Shuang'er said, Father, has Gui's family stopped buying our ores? Lin Yuantu said, Shuang'er, Daddy is asking you. Is the brat you brought back really able to defeat Gui Taibao with a single move? Lin Shuang'er was startled, then nodded, I did not even use a move, just a set of mystical steps. Gui Taibao did not even touch the corner of his clothes. Lin Yuantu secretly tightened his eyebrows, perhaps now. We can only rely on him. Let's return to the Lin family first. Within the sword force space, Long Fei continued to cultivate sword practice, body training. At the same time, he was training his sword heart. Suddenly, Long Fei opened his eyes and shouted, break for me, boom. A stream of warmth flowed out from his body and circulated around his entire body, and then directly reached the pubes' sea of consciousness. Buzz. A buzz resounded in his body. Long Fei spat out a mouthful of turbid qi, and at the same time, the system chimed in. Ding. System notification. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level. Apprentice level 1. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. You have received the reward of enlightenment will strike. Do you wish to cultivate it? Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for breaking through the first great realm and obtaining the system reward dungeon, Berserk Beast. Do you wish to enter? The system beeped out a series of notifications. Long Fei looked at the system excitedly. Indeed. There is indeed an instance dungeon reward. Cultivate. Long Fei tapped the button, and the heart of tranquil water was activated and cultivated. Skills: Mind Strike Consumption, 100 units of spiritual energy proficiency, 0-100 description, possesses the ability to break through armor at once. Critical hit stack. Critical hit stacked. Strength stacked. It was not a sword technique, but a special power. Power stronger than a critical strike. Heh. It's now an instance dungeon. Wild Beast, just the name of this instance dungeon is different. Dungeon, Berserk Beast target, kill 100 Berserk Beasts reward, Berserk Beast sword technique hidden reward, head of Wild Beast's number of times it could be used, 1 time. There was only one chance, and that was to succeed. If he failed, there would not be a second chance, Long Fei thought. I will reward you with a basic sword art at the 9th level of the warrior realm. I need a sword skill now, I must take this instance dungeon. It shouldn't be hard to kill the demon beast. Long Fei moved. He wanted to enter the instance dungeon at this time. His physical body received the message. Hubby, someone's coming. Big Sister Schwanger has come. There are a few others. Long Fei retracted his idea and the idea returned to his body. There were 3 people standing in the small courtyard. Lin Schwanger, Lin Yuantu, Lin Fenglei. Long Fei stood up and walked out of the hall into the courtyard. Lin Schwanger immediately said, Father, he is the one who defeated Gui Taibao with his steps. Lin Yuantu looked at Long Fei and went straight to the point. I heard from Schwanger that your steps are very powerful, so I came here specifically today to experience it. Lin Schwanger was startled and said, Father, what are you trying to teach me? Lin Yuantu didn't wait for Long Fei to speak and said, Kid, you must bring out all of your strength, because every single move of mine is a killing move and will take your life. Everyone was stunned. Father, what are you doing? Lin Schwanger panicked. Father, what are you doing? Lin Schwanger panicked. Her father was at the 7th stage of Big Swordsman, way stronger than Gui Taibao. Moreover, his sword technique was old and capable, and was something that Gui Taibao could not even compare to. What did every move mean? This meant that as long as Long Fei did not dodge one move, he would die. Lin Fenglei also did not understand, and said, Big brother, this is. Lin Yuantu did not explain. Instead, he looked at Long Fei in a daze and said, You can accept my challenge, or you can reject it. If you do not accept, then please leave the Lin clan. Phoenix looked at Lin Yuantu, then looked at Long Fei. Long Fei didn't know what Lin Yuantu was trying to say, but he had just broken through to apprentice and could use Lin Yuantu to test his strength. And then, Long Fei said indifferently, If you can't dodge, I might be dead, but what if I can? Lin Yuantu was silent for a moment, and then said, I will marry my daughter to you. Lin Schwanger's cheeks flushed red. She immediately said, Father, I don't want to marry this old rogue. Lin Yuantu was very serious. He did not seem like he was joking at all. Phoenix giggled and said in a low voice, Hubby, accept his challenge. Rest assured that I can protect you. Moreover, Big Sister Schwanger is already pregnant with your child, so you have to take responsibility for her. Long Fei did not think further, and said, All right. He had to stay in the Lin residence. He needed time to cultivate. At the same time, if the black-clothed man still had other comrades, if he couldn't find them outside of Neon City, he would definitely come back to look for them. He didn't have much time. He could only stay here. Lin Yuantu pulled out his sword, Wang. The sword hums exploded. All of a sudden, the aura emanating from his body had completely changed. It had become abnormally fierce and overbearing, as if he himself was a huge sword. Long Fei thought, what a strong sword intent. Lin Yuantu pointed his long sword, causing the sword intent to overlap and say, Kid, it's starting. Myriad Shadows sword. Boom. The tip of the sword moved. Lin Yuantu's figure quickly rushed forward. His sword techniques were sharp. In an instant the sword images surrounded Long Fei. Fast. Sword techniques focused on speed. Lin Yuantu's sword technique was way faster than Gui Taibao's. Long Fei's body sank, his gaze locking onto one place. Who? With a light exhale, every hair on his body stood on end, as though he possessed countless perceptive abilities. Long Fei closed his eyes. His eyes could no longer keep up with Lin Yuantu's speed. If he relied on his eyes, Long Fei wouldn't be able to dodge even a single attack. Huff! The wind whistled as the sword shadows moved slightly. Long Fei moved, his body twisting slightly. Shua! The sword slashed through his groin, and his clothes were sliced off by the sword chi. However, it was an extremely close call. Lin Fenglei exclaimed, "Good footwork." Lin Shuang's heart that was at the top of his throat relaxed as well, and he broke out in a cold sweat. Phoenix giggled and said, "Hubby is really amazing." Lin Yuantu was also secretly shocked. "You really have some skills. That sword attack just now was just a test, that's the real move." The sword art changed. The mysteries of the myriad shadow sword were unleashed. His sword was like a shadow, and his figure was like a shadow. This time, Long Fei couldn't even keep up with Lin Yuantu's aura. Who? Long Fei's aura moved. Apprentice's power was very light, but compared to the him who had just learned how to walk in ancient world, he was much stronger. Similarly, Long Fei's body slightly sank, revealing a strange appearance. He was like a grandmaster. The sword shadow moved. Boom! Long Fei closed his eyes as he moved his right shoulder slightly to the side. Shua! The long sword pierced through empty air. The sword chi once again ripped apart Long Fei's clothes. Lin Yuantu's body flipped, and immediately leaped into the air, piercing straight towards Long Fei's head. The swordsman knew this too. A man has his heart, and a sword is the same. When he was training in the sword sect space, Long Fei would mostly train his sword heart. The natural way of communication with the sword. The hair on top of his head fluttered gently, as if someone was saying, "Get out of my way, get out of my way, I'm going to hurt you." Faster. Long Fei retracted his right leg, and suddenly stood up straight. Lin Yuantu's sword pierced through the space between his eyebrows. If it was even a little more, Long Fei's body would have been cut into two halves. The sword stabbed into the ground, causing the blade to bend. Lin Yuantu shouted, sword image breaking through the earth. Borrowing the elasticity of the sword, Lin Yuantu flipped over once again, directly landing behind Long Fei, and thrusted towards his back with his sword. This technique was surprisingly fast. Furthermore, it was impossible to guard against. Lin Shuang shouted, "Be careful." Phoenix also moved slightly. However, Long Fei's pupils constricted and his aura moved, ancient dragon body, boom. When the power of the dragon body entered, Long Fei's chi suddenly changed, and a wave of power shot out. Buzz. The sword pierced Long Fei's back, but it was unable to pierce through. Lin Yuantu frowned, he kept his sword and looked carefully. He did not see any change in Long Fei's chi. He just felt that Long Fei was a completely different person. Phoenix looked at Long Fei and thought, what power is this? This. Long Fei quickly withdrew the power of the ancient dragon body and he said to himself, level 10 against level 30 is still too much of a struggle. If he had not used the power of the ancient dragon body just now, Long Fei would have definitely lost. Although he knew that Lin Yuantu would not kill him, he still had to block this move. Lin Yuantu retreated a few steps, sheathed his sword, and laughed in satisfaction. Not bad, not bad, your pace is very unique, it looks like you have no rules, but it contains a lot of power. Kid. I'll take your son-in-law. Lin Shuang's face flushed red again as she said, Father, I don't want to marry him. Even though Lin Yuantu was a bit older, he knew what his daughter was thinking. He looked at Long Fei and said, Brat, as her father, you might think that I am too preposterous. Let me tell you the truth, my Lin family is in a crisis right now. If possible, I need you to bring the Lin family to participate in this year's Neon City tournament. You can think that I'm using you because I have no other choice. If you don't want me to make things difficult for you, then I hope that you can take Shuang'er and leave the Neon City. Lin Yuantu was not in the mood to pull those twists and turns for Long Fei. He went straight to the point. Gui's family will definitely take action against the Lin family. If this time we lose very miserably in the large competition, then Gui's family will be even more unscrupulous. He had to consider the Lin clan. If he could not save the Lin clan, then he hoped that his daughter could live on. Long Fei secretly furrowed his brows. Huff! He secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Right now, he couldn't leave the Neon City. If he was found out by the black-clothed man, he would die for sure. Moreover, since they could not find the Emperor Xian, since they could not find the Dragon Vein Mountain, and since they could not find the God-Living Mountain, then everything would start from here. Long Fei focused and said, "All right, I will represent the Lin family in battle." Lin Yuantu didn't think that Long Fei would actually agree to it. Lin Yuantu didn't think that Long Fei would actually agree to it. Actually, he only wanted to test Long Fei, to see if he could fight for the Lin family, to test whether this person was reliable or not. He did not expect Long Fei to agree, which made him secretly shocked in his heart. Lin Yuantu was very clear about the Lin family's strength and also the Gui's family's strength. No matter what, they would not be able to win against the Gui's family in the end. Take the large competition 2 days from now, for example, even if Long Fei took part in the battle, he might not necessarily be able to win. How could a person who only knew how to walk and not move be victorious? How could one win in the arena without fighting? Moreover, the Gui's family had actually done this, then Gui Tianyi was already prepared for it and would definitely not let the Lin family win. The Lin clan might not be able to survive this crisis. Since that was the case, the Lin family would definitely not be able to protect themselves. Lin Yuantu now wanted his daughter to leave this place safely. The marriage contract was still there. As long as Gui's family won, Gui Taibao would definitely not let Shuang'er off. If Shuang'er married into the Gui's family, then the consequences would be. It would be just like Gui Tianyi had said, he would be even worse off than a dog. The family couldn't be saved, and he couldn't ruin his daughter again. Lin Yuantu thought for a while, then nodded his head in satisfaction at Long Fei, and said, "Not bad, you have passed the test." Huh! Long Fei was startled. Lin Shuang'er also let out a breath of relief, and said, "Father, you've scared me." Lin Fenglei secretly heaved a sigh of relief as well. Lin Yuantu laughed, "I just want to test him." "Boy, you are a bastard, not bad, as expected of the man that my, Lin Yuantu's, daughter, has taken a fancy to. I don't need you to participate in this competition, but my daughter." Lin Shuang'er immediately said, "Father, don't worry. I will definitely work hard to cultivate and win against Gui Taibao. At that time, let's see where he will put his face." Lin Yuantu laughed faintly and said, "All right, all right, all right. The Lin family will depend on you. Ha ha ha." However, Lin Yuantu looked at Long Fei. "Kid, I can't practice footsteps in this place, steps are made between life and death." So, Lin Yuantu looked at Lin Shuang'er. Inside his sleeves, he clenched both of his fists tightly and said, "I will send you into the King of Beasts Valley and use the demon beast to cultivate." King of Beasts Valley? Lin Shuang'er's eyes narrowed, and said, "Father, that place. Isn't it too dangerous? King of Beasts Valley. The most dangerous place in Neon City. Demon beast ran rampant, making it difficult for humans to set foot inside, and most of the people that entered died inside." Legend. In the King of Beasts Valley, there was a beast king, whose power could split the mountains. Its body was extremely strong, and it was an undefeatable existence. Going to the King of Beasts Valley to cultivate was equivalent to courting death. Lin Fenglei was also secretly nervous. He knew how dangerous King of Beasts Valley was, but he knew even more in his heart that there was a small road that led from Neon City to Scorching Flame City. Danger. Cultivation is a dangerous thing, it is a dangerous breakthrough itself. If you are even afraid of this little bit of danger, how will you go up on stage to fight Gui Taibao? Lin Yuantu said sternly. He looked at Long Fei and said, "Kid, this is the second trial I will give you. See if you can protect my daughter. Do you dare to go?" Long Fei said, "There is no place I don't dare to go. No matter if it was the King of Beasts Valley or the forest filled with demon beast, it was just as Lin Yuantu had said. Even though he had broken through the apprentice, but His combat experience in the ancient world was not enough. The King of Beasts Valley might be able to help him break through faster. Moreover, Long Fei felt that Lin Yuantu was doing this intentionally. Lin Yuantu nodded his head. All right, you have guts. All three, bring them out and make some preparations. I have something to talk to him about. Lin Fenglei brought Lin Shuang'er and Phoenix out of the courtyard. Lin Yuantu's eyes darkened, his face turned pale. The force behind the last few sword moves was too strong, he could not take it any longer. Long Fei wanted to step forward and support her, but Lin Yuantu waved his hand and said, "Don't worry." Long Fei asked, "Uncle Lin, what's wrong with you?" Lin Yuantu said, "I'm not worried. Boy, listen carefully. I don't want you to bring my daughter to the King of Beasts Valley for training purposes. I want you to bring her away from the Neon City. There is a small path to the Scorching Flame City in the King of Beasts Valley, and Shuang'er's aunt is there. Remember, do not come back." Long Fei's brows tightened, and said, "Uncle Lin, did you encounter some difficulty?" Lin Yuantu said, "The Lin family will probably not be preserved. I have been working hard for the Lin family's rise for my entire life, unfortunately. His abilities are limited, his talent is also limited. All these years, the Lin family has been suppressed by the Gui's family, and I had almost married my daughter to a popinjay. Brat, I only have this one daughter. If you dare treat her badly, even as a ghost, I won't let you go, do you understand?" Lin Yuantu said sternly. And then, he took out a bottle and a map from his bosom. "There are some heal pill medicine in here. This is the map of the small road. Remember, take good care of my daughter. Don't ever come back." Lin Yuantu looked at Long Fei with a heavy gaze, and said, "Promise me." Long Fei received the thing, and said, "Okay." There was no way for him to refuse. Even if he wanted to stay in Neon City, he couldn't refuse, because this was an action that his father had no choice but to do. He wanted to protect his daughter, but he couldn't. Lin Yuantu loosened his brow, and said, "Go. All three will help you arrange a path out of the city." "Where's father?" "Third uncle, I don't want to leave the city. Isn't it just training footsteps? Is there a need to leave the city?" Lin Shuang'er pouted, she did not understand. Lin Fenglei rushed to the carriage and said, "Shuang'er, many of the powerful cultivation techniques were comprehended at the brink of death, so cultivating in the King of Beasts Valley will be of great help to you." Phoenix muttered again, "He's lying. He's going to die, and he's still trying to comprehend the hammer." Long Fei gently shook his head and said, "Third uncle is right. Don't worry, I guarantee that you will be completely different in 2 days." Lin Fenglei laughed and said, "Did you hear that?" Lin Shuang'er looked at Long Fei, and said, "Is it really like this?" Long Fei nodded his head. "That year, I also cultivated in this way, and this kind of cultivation method was the best." Hearing Long Fei's words, Lin Shuang'er laughed with satisfaction. "Third uncle, just wait for me to shine during the competition." "Hee hee." Lin Fenglei said, "All right, I will wait." He walked to the entrance of the city. Lin Fenglei got off the carriage and muttered to a leader. Without searching the carriage, they left the city. Lin Fenglei did not follow him. Instead, he handed the carriage over to Long Fei, heavily patted Long Fei, and said, "Shuang'er, you are willful, ignorant, and still a child. I'll leave her in your care." Long Fei said, "Don't worry, I will protect him well." Long Fei rushed the carriage in the direction of the King of Beasts Valley. City Lord's mansion reporting to the mayor. "They're out of the city." Wu Tianfeng's lips curled up as he sneered. Gui Tianyi, who was at the side, also sneered, "Do you really want to send your daughter out?" Lin Yuantu, "You are bringing your daughter to me, ha ha ha." I've already calculated that Lin Yuantu would have this move. Break his Lin family's finances, and then capture his daughter. This way, even if Lin Yuantu can jump again, it will be useless. Ha ha ha. Wu Tianfeng laughed out loud. Gui Tianyi gave a thumbs up. "The senior brother is wise, even more so than you." Wu Tianfeng stroked his beard and laughed. Lin Yuantu wants to protect his daughter even if he can't protect the Lin family. I can't protect anyone else. Without some tricks, how could he become the city lord of the Neon City? Gui Tianyi said, other than Lin Yuantu's daughter, there is also that brat with strange steps. He is also on the carriage. Wu Tianfeng replied, don't worry junior brother, I have already calculated his presence in the Lin family, and am waiting for him to leave the city, as long as he dares to appear. Hey! What strange footwork! I'm going to cut off his legs. Let's see how strange he can still be. A guard walked in, and said, reporting to the city lord, they went in the direction of the King of Beasts Valley. Wu Tianfeng frowned, King of Beasts Valley? Lin Yuantu is really ruthless, sending her daughter to the King of Beasts Valley? Gui Tianyi was secretly surprised. No one would go to King of Beasts Valley. Even big swordsman realm cultivators like them did not dare to rashly enter. That place was a dead end. Once you entered, you would be dead. Wu Tianfeng pondered for a moment, and said slightly, the other side of King of Beasts Valley is the domain of the Fiery Flame City. Has a younger sister in the Fiery City, she probably wants to go over the King of Beasts Valley and go to the Fiery City. Gui Tianyi said, where? Wu Tianfeng laughed coldly, and said, don't worry, they won't be able to leave King of Beasts Valley. Someone, come. Immediately send out Black Wolf Mercenary S, capture the females alive, and kill the males. Yes sir. Gui Tianyi's eyes lit up as he said, senior brother, wouldn't sending out the Black Wolf Mercenary be making too much of a fuss? Wu Tianfeng laughed, I don't like to drag things out. If I can do it, I will not take the second step. What I want is a fatal blow. The Black Wolf Mercenary, the #1 mercenary group of the Neon City. His combat power was extremely high, reaching more than 400 members. His overall strength was inferior even to Gui's family. This mercenary group was personally trained by Wu Tianfeng, and he had to rely on the Black Wolf Mercenary to be able to stay in the City Lord's position. Other than that, the leader of the Black Wolf Mercenary was the only one who survived after entering the King of Beasts Valley. Roar! A wolf's howl. The entire Black Wolf Mercenary was out. The company leader, Wolf King, rode on a black wolf that was more than 2 meters tall and charged at the front. In his hand was a long blade, and the blade was filled with inscriptions. He brought hundreds of team members into the King of Beasts Valley. What is the key to understanding walk like snakeskin? Do you have any chance? Along the way, Lin Shuang'er kept asking questions. This was the first time in her life that she had ever left the Neon City. On the surface, she did not say anything, but in her heart, she seemed to have sensed something, especially seeing her father being injured by Gui Tianyi. Furthermore, the Lin clan's minds could not hold out much longer. Lin Shuang'er knew in her heart that this year's large competition was extraordinary, she had to win. Long Fei said, there is no key, there is no pattern, the most important thing is to maintain the sensitivity of the body, so that every part of the body has its own perception. Long Fei was able to master the walk like a snake through 10 years of bitter training through a game. How could he learn it so easily? Learn it in 2 days? It was impossible. Lin Shuang'er asked in a daze, what sensitivity, what perception? I don't understand at all. Phoenix also didn't understand, but she held her cheeks with her hands, looked at Long Fei with a face full of worship, and said, hubby is so amazing. Long Fei smiled bitterly and said, Phoenix, don't call me husband in the future. Do you, as a little girl, know what a husband is? You are my husband, so how is it possible that I do not know what a husband is? I am 10 years old this year, and my aunt told me that I have already been reincarnated 8 times. I don't know what a husband is. This time, Lin Shuang'er was stunned. He looked at Phoenix in shock, and grinned. Did your aunt ever tell you that children cannot brag? Ha ha ha. Long Fei started laughing. Lin Shuang'er didn't believe that the Phoenix had reincarnated 8 times, but Long Fei did. He saw the Phoenix eyes of the Phoenix. He could also feel the unique Phoenix aura on her body. This aura was very familiar. Phoenix puffed her cheeks and said, I am not bragging. Long Fei could not help but ask, you have reincarnated 8 times, do you remember what happened in the past? Phoenix muttered, I don't remember. However, Auntie said that in a few years, when I open my spiritual consciousness, all of my memories from my previous life will return. By then, I will know what happened in the past. Phoenix's face was also filled with anticipation. Long Fei muttered, in a few more years. Roar. Suddenly, a roar resounded from the distant forest. The two horses whinnied in fright and stopped, unwilling to go any further. Long Fei jumped down from the carriage and said, "We should be going to the King of Beasts Valley soon." Lin Shuang'er stood on top of the carriage in high spirits and said, "All demon beast of King of Beasts Valley, listen to me." Roar. With another roar, Lin Shuang'er was so scared that he almost fell down. Phoenix pursed her lips into a smile and said, "Big Sister Shuang'er, don't worry. Since you've come, they will definitely behave themselves. If they don't, I'll deal with them." The three of them got off the horse, allowing Long Fei to hit them with his palm. The two horses seemed to have fled. Lin Shuang'er was startled, and asked, "Why did you drive the carriage back? Aren't we going to come out?" Long Fei said, "When we come out, we'll catch two demon beasts as mounts, they're much faster than carriages." Lin Shuang'er's eyes released a gold light. "Really? Wow. I dream of having my own demon beast mount. Why don't we go and capture the King of Beasts Valley's Beast King?" Long Fei. There was a black line on his forehead. Phoenix suddenly said, "I think it's possible." While they were talking, the two girls held hands and walked into King of Beasts Valley, one step at a time. Long Fei was completely dumbfounded. Long Fei watched as the two of them walked into the valley. Long Fei first opened the map and took a look. After memorizing the specific locations on the map, he turned his head to look at Neon City and quickly followed along. "Captain, this is a drawing of those people." The Wolf King took a look and immediately threw it away. "It's hard to kill this woman. She wants to live. It's been such a long time since she's been here. Let the brothers have a good time catching her." "Captain, I heard that the girl is Gui Taibao's fiancé. If we do this, could we? F***CK. Which leak is Gui Taibao? Even if it's his father's woman, I will still fuck her. Don't worry about it too much. If something happens, I will carry it on my back." Chard. King of Beasts Valley was like a tropical forest. King of Beasts Valley was like a tropical forest. Trees coiled at the roots, and rocks littered the ground. Most of these rocks were smashed by some extremely powerful demon beast, and there were broken trees everywhere. It had also been destroyed by demon beast. Cautiously walked into the valley. Lin Shuang'er was also not as pleased with himself as before. He shrunk his neck, and practically snuggled close to Long Fei's body as he continued to mutter, "What kind of demon beast will we meet later?" Phoenix said with a relaxed expression, "Big Sister Shuang'er, don't worry, there aren't any powerful demon beast here." She was completely fearless. Of course. What was the level of a phoenix? If Lin Shuang'er was treated like a mortal in front of a mortal, then the phoenix was someone else from the divine immortal stage. There had been so much commotion that night, but the entire Neon City was like a retard, discovering nothing and not knowing anything at all. The Gui's family of the number one family and the Wu family of the City Lord had not received even the slightest bit of information from them, as if something had happened on a completely different plane. This was not because the Neon City S were weak, but because the Powerhouse S were too strong. Phoenix's cultivation was not high, but she was also a person from the immortal realm. What kind of demon beast had she not seen before? Even the King of Beasts couldn't do it. Long Fei said, "You're still training walk like snakeskin like this?" Lin Shuang'er replied, I was afraid." Long Fei said, "Don't worry, I'm here." Hiss, 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 hiss. A series of hissing and ear-piercing sounds rang out. Long Fei stared in front of him and suddenly stopped. Lin Shuang'er looked around and said, "Why aren't you leaving?" Long Fei said, "Up ahead." Lin Shuang'er looked ahead with wide eyes, and said, "In front of what?" "There's nothing, it's just a rotten piece of wood." Long Fei said, "Take a good look at that rotten piece of wood." Lin Shuang'er carefully observed, and at that moment, goosebumps rose all over her body. It was as if her body was frozen. She did not dare move at all and her voice trembled. "Snake, snake, it's a snake." Long Fei said in a low voice, "Don't move." Hiss, 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 Hiss. The snake's tongue spit out like lightning. This woman had a natural disadvantage against cartilage animals. Long Fei told her not to move, but she was shaking non-stop, as if she couldn't control her legs and continued to retreat. Shua. The giant snake moved, and its body shot out like an arrow. Long Fei followed suit. With a flip of his right hand, the system rewarded him with an iron sword in his hand. Holding onto it with both of his hands, he released basic sword art. It furiously slashed down at the area 7 inches from the snake's body. Boom. Scales splattered everywhere, creating sparks. The giant snake's body sunk down, its eyes flipped as it stared at Long Fei, as though it was angry. The snake flicked its tail and swept across. Voila! A sonic boom could be heard. Long Fei was incomparably calm. The moment the snake tail swept towards him, he leaped up and landed on the snake head. He aimed at the center of the snake head and pierced in with his sword. Woo woo woo. Woo woo. The huge snake's body struggled crazily. It issued a painful woo-woo sound. However, after bouncing for a few times, it stopped moving. Only when the giant serpent didn't move did Long Fei let out a breath and let go of Long Fei's hand. The system beeped. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing the giant serpent and releasing the absorbing body. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining snake bile after killing giant serpent. The system sounded out a few times. The cultivation realm that one would obtain after killing could obtain a person's flesh after killing a demon beast. This was a killing system, but, no matter how strong the body was, it could not compare to the body of the ancient dragon body. Long Fei immediately gave up. However, he directly consumed the snake gall. The giant serpent's essence was in the snake's gall. Long Fei immediately swallowed it, expelling the poison. His body felt the strengthening of his profound qi. Long Fei secretly thought, swallowing the blood and flesh of these demon beasts is the most primitive and direct way to raise one's profound qi. Lin Shuang'er was so scared that his face turned pale. Phoenix, who was at the side, clapped her hands and said, "Hubby, you're so awesome." The blood of the snake dripped down, filling the air with the smell of blood. Long Fei's brows tightened, and said, "Let's leave this place first." The smell of blood was especially stimulating to the demon beast. Before long, all kinds of demon beast would be attracted to this place. Lin Shuang'er nodded repeatedly, and said, okay. Right now, she was almost frightened to the point of wondering what was her purpose in coming to King of Beasts Valley. After that, Long Fei quickly left. Roar. Woo. With a few roars, the giant python was dismembered in less than 5 minutes, not even its bones remained. Although his previous cultivation was useless, his previous experiences were the same, whether it was ancient world or the lower plane demon beast, they were all the same. The smell of blood was extremely stimulating to them. Long Fei had a lot of experience in the forest. Lin Shuang'er swallowed his saliva and said, "This place is too dangerous, how about we return?" She was truly afraid. Long Fei said, "With me here, what are you afraid of?" He wanted to say, in his heart, that Neon City might not be able to return. But he still didn't say it out loud. After all, Lin Shuang'er was only a 16-year-old child, and the things she could bear were too small. If she knew that the Lin family was currently in a life-or-death situation, she would definitely run back. Phoenix also giggled and said, "That's right, your husband is so powerful. With him around, we'll definitely be fine." After resting for a while, the three continued their journey. Just now, that giant snake was at the edge of the valley, and it had only just started trying to get past the King of Beasts Valley. Furthermore, that giant snake's level was extremely low as well. The further in he went, the stronger it became. However, this was a rare experience for Long Fei. The system had another instance dungeon checkpoint. There was only one chance. If he wanted to clear the instance dungeon, Long Fei had to make himself stronger. Moreover, Long Fei trained in the Berserk Beast instance dungeon beforehand, so it was extremely helpful to the instance dungeon. The reward for the instance dungeon was definitely very satisfying. Kill. Boom. Swish. Long Fei gasped for breath, A wound appeared on his chest, blood dripping down, but the demon beast's head was cut off by him. Long Fei then devoured the demon beast's essence. He turned and looked at Lin Shuang'er, and said, "Do you see where my footsteps are moving?" Lin Shuang'er shook his head and said, "It's too fast, I can't even see clearly." Long Fei said, "Don't be anxious, another demon beast is coming over right now. Take a closer look." King of Beasts Valley's giant serpent. The Wolf King looked at the surrounding snake scales in shock. "Seems like you have some ability after all. However, this kind of power isn't enough." The Wolf King jumped down from the black wolf's back and whispered into its ear. Immediately, the black wolf's eyes turned vicious as it flew out. The Wolf King laughed lightly and said, "Third team, follow Black Wolf and you'll find them soon. Brothers, charge. The first to arrive will be the woman." You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,